for Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. The first hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin and Brett Stats Norsworthy.
Good afternoon to everyone, and welcome in on this Wednesday afternoon, August 12th, 2020. We are Sports Time. Dave is out today. He'll be back in next Monday. He'll be out tomorrow and Friday as well. Back next Monday. Drew Barrett co-hosting with me as he has on Monday and Tuesday so very well. Carl Morris producing, and we want you to be a part of our show at 360-8255. That's the First Bank phone line, and it's 67129. The First Bank text line. At least we're not starting today's show with any more college football FBS cancellations, Drew Barrett, and I will say out of the gate, I don't know how all of this will shake out, Drew, but I have texted to several people. I'll say it over there. I don't say it with anything other than complimentary, proud. The Memphis Tigers are finally in a respectable, reputable, means something to them football league. I applaud Mike Oresco. It all could change in a week. It changed in the last week. A week ago today, the Big Ten, they were going to play. The commissioner was being questioned if he would allow his son, who is on the roster, who plays at Mississippi State. My very best to him if the SEC plows on. So we know it can change in a week. But Mike Oresco and Laird Veach and Dr. Rudd and Ryan Silverfield, they're acting like a football program.
Yeah, they really are. It's great to see them taking it seriously and not wanting to shut down like everybody else. And I applaud Mike Oresco for his comments today about the news about the Pac-12 and the Big Ten, saying that we think it's premature to make a major decision at this time. We continue to gather more information, and we also are monitoring the overall situation, which is the best that we can ask for because, like you said, things have changed in a week, and they probably will change by this time next week. So might as well stay the course until that becomes your only option. Have that can be plan B, but let's keep plan A while it's still plausible to have it.
And then go as Laird Veach talked about with us a couple of visits ago as kind of the floodgates. And right now they are assessing the situation. It could change in a blink of an eye. From what I can gather, talking to AAC conference people, not just Memphis affiliated, to SEC, certainly not just Ole Miss affiliated, some Big 12. And others, I have not had a discussion with anybody directly with the ACC, a team, just media, not directly though. It's going to be positives, and it's going to be positives after other students start coming back to campus, assimilating into campus, and having school, having college. And some places started last Monday the 10th, just 2 days ago. Others are starting next Monday, and then just about everybody that's going to have in-person classes will be going in 2 to 3 weeks. And then we'll see what the positivity rate is, and if I don't know what the threshold is. Threshold would be. But I don't think it's very high, and I don't think we have a stomach for a lot, and I can understand that. But right now, to the ones that are deciding to play on, I don't think it's any more fair to really disembowel them and rip them than I don't think we've done it to the ones that have stood down yet, have we? Have we really? I don't think it's been any name calling of
I don't think so.
Pac-12, Big Ten, and MAC and others. I didn't like that the SEC, Greg Sankey, and I think the commissioner of the SEC historically has been primary at the table, and I don't think he has been so far. I did get on him and get on that. But I'm not going to tell those others they're wrong. History's going to decide this. And we talked about it yesterday with several guests. It will be categorical if the SEC, ACC, Big 12, and Group of 5 teams play on, like the Tigers, like the AAC, if they play on and they play on largely uninterrupted, mostly without controversy, then history's not going to be kind to the Big Ten and the Pac-12. If all those just mentioned play on, and there's a hospitalization, I won't even go to the most dire. We know that is what that is. Then a lot of those commissioners and a lot of those administrators and a lot of the people that advocated for them to play on will be judged harshly.
They will, and that's the problem. We don't know how history is going to write the books yet. I mean, we're currently living in it, and we can't see into a crystal ball and see what the optics of the virus around college campuses and around this country is going to look like at the beginning of next month when a lot of teams are set to kick off the first weekend of September. And it all really depends on how well you can contain it off the bat when students get on campus. I know Vanderbilt, they've released a statement that for students on campus, they are not allowed to leave the Nashville area until the semester is over. If other universities and communities have basically the same ordinance in place, then we might be able to contain it. But I mean, I remember the first time I walked on at the University of Memphis campus for that first semester and that first year, being around so many more people than I was ever used to coming from a small town in Fayette County, that I got sick a lot because I was exposed to a lot more different types of people from different areas and different viruses that, I normally wasn't exposed to on an everyday basis.
And your sleeping habits.
And my sleeping habits and drinking habits, even though I might have been under the age of 21.
I was going to throw it on the sleeping. It was the sleeping.
Fine.
It was the sleeping.
And I remember just always waking up feeling like, man, I feel sick and all that type of stuff. So
very same.
When you have that many people from different areas in one congregation, basically bringing the germs and viruses from their area to an area, cases are going to happen. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Cases will happen. It's just how well do universities and staffs respond to those cases and keeping it at a minimal. If we can keep it at a minimal where it wouldn't be worse than what we normally see on college campuses during a normal flu season, then I think we're able to charge on and ultimately have college football and college in classes on college campuses this year. But it all depends on what those numbers are. So there's no need to really shut it down. I think you prepare for like you're playing now. And if you got to shut it down last minute, then you got to shut it down last minute and just wait for the numbers to cooperate that, because we just don't know.
You've even seen scheduling adjustments today. Arkansas State University now week 2, September 12th, will be the home non-conference, the one and only non-conference opponent for Kansas State. They will play that game in Manhattan at Kansas State. The games for week 0, Saturday, August 29th, that for any FBS team, they've all been scuttled. There are still games on the schedule for Thursday night, September 3rd, involving FBS teams. One of them, South Alabama against Southern Miss, and a few others. Many are canceled. Mm-hmm. And some postponed. Very few still remaining, and then none for Friday night, September 4th. But a lot of games scheduled for Saturday, September 5th, and that's the date scheduled right now for Arkansas State coming to Memphis to play the Tigers at Liberty Bowl Stadium. We've got a lot of fun stuff, I think, in store for you today. At 3:30, we'll have TJ Reeves with us, and I know we'll talk about the marathon hockey game yesterday in the NHL. The second game in the NHL playoffs last night started and finished while that game between Tampa Bay and who'd they play?
Oh, goodness gracious. If you asked me 5 seconds ago, I would have – I had it right off the top of my bat.
I can't remember. But that game finished in the same time they were still in overtime, but for the Lightning winning that marathon against the Columbus Blue Jackets. That's who it was. Yeah, the Blue Jackets. That's them. Yeah. And we'll talk with TJ about golf, last weekend's winner, and this week, and looking forward to the FedEx Cup playoffs starting next week, and also NFL and baseball. At 4 o'clock, we will visit with John Goen. He will be with us for golf talk and picks. We will pick that Wyndham tournament, the last regular tour event for the PGA Tour schedule this year, before they start the playoffs next week at the Northern Trust at TPC Boston. We'll make our picks, and Ted Butler's already sent me the picks for Dave Riccaro on the Business of Sports about 4:30. Chris Raby from KMOX in St. Louis and the Cardinals Network. 2 weeks ago today was the last time we saw the St. Louis Cardinals. We will talk with him about when we will see them, if we will see them again. And at 5:30, Drew, you inspired me yesterday when we were talking about Miami, and it was mostly about the Dolphins. And it's been a long time since they've been really very relevant, very good. No Super Bowl appearance since Dan Marino's rookie year. Is that right? Rookie year or second year when they lost to the 49ers. Really no deep playoff run, a serious playoff run in a long time. And we were talking about kind of the woe-begone sports town, the tough luck sports town. And this is going to be all for major leagues, but really teams that have somebody in the NBA, like the Grizz, like in Memphis, like we have, NHL, NFL, or Major League Baseball. Some of those places have all four. Some just have one of the four. Some got two or three. I think for a place like here, for a couple of reasons, just one major league team, and there's going to be no college influence. We're not going to say, well, Atlanta, because you could say Atlanta has been bereft of any championships. A lot of winning. Braves were in the playoffs last year, and Falcons were in the Super Bowl and up 28-3 just a few years ago. So that's not really, and I hate to throw this word on it, but that's not really Loserville, USA. But that's kind of what we're looking for, that sports town that is the really star-crossed, tough luck Loserville.
And there are, going through them earlier today, there's actually a lot more than I thought. You know, I only had about two or three off the top of my head, but then going through, I'm like, yeah, that's some bad luck for that city and those organizations.
But for Atlanta, we're not going to let the heavy SEC Georgia influence and the Georgia Tech influence. No, we're just going strictly professional. And for in Memphis, I first of all, I don't think we are. We're not even close for us. And if the Grizzlies are to make the playoffs, and I say even making the 8-9 game as the 9, that's making the playoffs. Do you call it that? Would it be denoted at Basketball Ref as making the playoffs?
I don't think it would be, and to me it doesn't count, and I'm someone who doesn't like to count the wild card.
We count it when you go to Dayton.
Barely. I don't even like to count that. I don't like to count the wild card game in Major League Baseball if you lose it, because you weren't even there. You were there didn't even get a cup of coffee.
If the defeated team in that, it's like they really weren't even there. But if the Grizzlies won the 8-9 game,
then
and advanced, that would be no doubt. Then they had made the playoffs. They played the Lakers. They made the playoffs. That would be 11 out of 19 years in Memphis. That is not Loserville whatsoever. No. Not even close. But even if it was 0 for 19, I would make the case of a little too soon already. Same for Nashville with Preds, and a little bit with the Titans. And the Titans they've been to a Super Bowl. They've been to had good runs in AFC playoffs. So we're going to do that at 5:30. You want to submit your nominee for Loserville, Loserville, USA. We'll take it at 67129 at the First Bank text line. We are always proudly in our Family Leisure Studios, aren't we, Drew?
Yes, we are. We are here in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. Save now on your 2021 swimming pool, buying now at 2020 prices, and save your spot for first installment of 2021. Patio furniture, 20 to 30% off. Play gyms are in stock. Beat the heat with an indoor game table or slate pool table. Pool toys and floats up to 30% off. That's at Family Leisure, 2120 Witten Road, just north of I-40.
The Washington NFL team, no fans in Old D.C. or in the Maryland suburbs this year. They have decided for fanless at FedEx Field just outside Washington, D.C. And also the Masters with the news today of no patrons, no fans. So that is no fans for an event in 3 months. And then they're saying they're hopeful for the regular 2021 April event in 5 months to have fans. So we're already getting out there pretty good. And I was told, and we will talk with John Goin about this, I was told by a very reputable PGA source that the January, February tournaments on the PGA Tour, they've already been told it's fanless, and that includes all the ones we know of in January and February, like the Century Tournament of Champions out at Kapalua, the Sony there in Honolulu, and some of the bigger ones like Pebble Beach and like the tournament at Torrey Pines, and the biggest one I'm sorry for, the event at Phoenix, where they have the Rock'em Sock'em Rowdy Par 3, and they draw about 30 to 35,000 fans a day at that. So you're talking, approaching almost 140, 150,000 fans, and, they make a lot of money for the Thunderbirds out there at that. And to already be told January and February, no fans, that's got to scare some in March, April, and May, Drew, is it worth it? I mean, because you have to make money.
Yeah, you do have to make money, and these tournaments are for ultimately making money. I mean, the purses are that big because of how much money the PGA has made. I mean, at some point, I think if we don't have fans and the revenue starts to go down, regardless of how well the ratings are on TV, those purses and other things surrounding golf could and probably will go down.
Naturally.
I mean,
naturally.
If you're not making money, you can't continue to give out the same type of money that you were when you were making it.
And what's the choke point for everybody? All right, we'll do it now. A lot of those early events didn't have to do it last year. That, in fairness, they didn't go through it until March. So the January and February's will be the first time to really have to be taking that hit. You get into ones that are having to do it again. All right, we did it 2 years. We're telling you now we can't sign up for a third year without it, and we don't know. We think the miracle cure is on the way. We hope it is.
Fingers crossed.
And every day sounds better and better for that, but we don't know. We know at some point, and even watching these games, I've had baseball on most of the day and some of the hockey, and down at the bubble at Orlando, it's been pretty good, and it sure beats what we had in April and May for sure. I am not complaining. But it takes something out of it. It's so very antiseptic. I keep waiting for some of the virtual fans at some of the baseball parks for them to break into the wave. I mean, how come we can't make them do that?
I don't know. You think we have the technology for it by now?
You just have to have – to have rainbows, you got to have rain. And to have sports, you got to have fans, and you got to have that vibe, or it just really leaves it lacking. This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-362-8833. Lexus of Memphis offering the Golden Opportunity August sales event. Great offers on all 2020 models and special lease options. If you've ever thought I'd look great in a Lexus, well, guess what? Lexus of Memphis thinks you would look great in a Lexus too. Drive in luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of an all-new 2020 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and driving in style. Lexus of Memphis, the highest standards in the industry, and they are the one and only Lexus dealership in Memphis. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and that makes for the luxury driving experience. 901-362-8833, online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
My top story of the day, the Big 12 at this time says they are going ahead with fall football schedule of 10 games, 9 conference games, and 1 non-conference game for this fall schedule. Conference also announced that the Red River Shootout between Texas and Oklahoma will actually remain at the off-campus sites at the Cotton Bowl October 10th. Also, big news from the American being taken very seriously, and definitely, I think, having the biggest momentum for the P6 push through all this. Mike Resco and the American stating today that they will continue the course, thinking that it's just premature to make a major decision at this time, and I agree with them. Let's wait till we have all the facts, and if we got to stop, if September 1st hits and we're 2 days away from the start of any American Athletic Conference games and we got to shut it down, then we shut it down. If we have to shut it down minutes before, we shut it down. But let's wait until it literally gets that crunch time.
I think so too, Drew. And his leadership, his guidance, I will applaud him, even if he has to make the announcement of the shutdown. And I think he, not only through this, but through his commissionership of the AAC, if we ever really got around to a short list for commissioner of college football with his background, and look, we're not having him on today. We had him on last week. I don't really know Mike Oresco. I don't. I met him last year, a year ago, March, at the AAC tournament. He doesn't know me at all. He's very tight with Dave, and that's how we have. That's how we really have him on. So I'm not saying this at all patronizing. He has separated himself. If there's a short list for the first commissioner of college football, I think Mike Oresco has worked his way onto it. My top story, can we just call it what it is with the Grizzlies in the bubble? They've stunk.
Yep.
DB's 11 for 46 from threes. Now, he's 17 of 20 from the free throw line. That's great. Nobody's guarding you on that free throw line. 17 of 20 is pretty good, but 11 of 46 from way downtown. And some of the misses have been bad misses. I mean, they haven't even been close. There are a lot of legitimate reasons for the Grizzlies stinking in Orlando. Injuries, one of the biggest. But play has been, I'm going to be nice here. Some of the play has been uninspired, and some of the coaching has appeared to me to be lacking. A team that started the season way back in October of 2019, 5-13, they will finish it tomorrow at best down the stretch 6-14. They had a good 35 games in there, if my math works out. 5-13 start, 6-14 finish, about 35 games in between. But that doesn't make a season. And now a lot of apologists are out nationally for them, locally for them, and I think we just got to call it like it is. They had some bad luck, and they've played bad. Had I know that, they got one win.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's all you can do.
Not top story of the day.
My not top story of the day, the Masters now officially announced that this year's tournament at Augusta, November 12th through the 15th, will be held without fans, or as they're called, Augusta patrons. Augusta National and Masters Chairman Fred Ridley said, unfortunately, we determined that the potential risk of welcoming patrons and guests to our grounds in November are simply too significant to overcome. I don't think this announcement really shocked anybody, and that's why it's my not top story.
No, it's not shocking. It was a stunner back in March, especially really quickly. I mean, that was on Friday, March 13th, just 2 days after Rudy Gobert night, and so that was quick. But, we held out hope that Augusta, they do so many things so well in hosting that tournament. We thought they might go out there and have their own biosphere in their own air. I mean, who knew?
I wouldn't put it past them.
But now it will look very different. They fancy themselves, that membership fancies itself, is just kind of hosting their golf tournament. I didn't say little golf tournament. They know it's big. It'll really be put to the test this year to see how it comes off, both with date and without, as they call it, patrons. My not top story, Nebraska isn't going anywhere. There's been a lot of talk, a lot of bluster, a lot of people tweeting what SEC conferences might look like if all those breakaway Big Ten teams came down south. They're not breaking away. Nebraska's not breaking away. Ohio State's pretty much already officially fallen in line. Ryan Day throws out a few comments. Now he says he wants the season to start in January. Ryan, you don't get to set the college football schedule. Really, right now, nobody does, but you sure don't. Y'all passed. You've passed on 2020. I don't know when you will play it. I do care, but you don't really get to set the schedule for anybody, and sure not you. And what's going to change between now and January, if you're scared to play now, you probably will be reluctant to play then too. And the rest of the Big Ten and the rest of college football, they will fall in line. That's your top and not top stories for this day. When we return, we'll talk the wild one yesterday, the marathon in the NHL. That was something to see, and the numbers from it, the shots on goal, the time of the game, and the other game starting and completing it while they were in overtime. We'll visit with TJ Reeves about that, about golf, about college football, and a whole lot more. TJ Reeves up next on Sportstime.
It's R&R on Sports.
The word is out about R&R on Sports, where you've heard interviews from
Ken Griffith Jr., Dr. J, Hank Aaron, and many, many more.
R&R on Sports, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m., Sports 56, 87.7, and 96.1.
Don't miss us.
I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses will buy a house in any area, in any condition, and yes, it's guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your home quickly, call 901-406-1101. If you've been through a divorce, if you lost your job, if you're tired of renters, I Buy Houses can get you your money quickly. I Buy Houses will buy your home in Shelby County, DeSoto County, Memphis, Bartlett, South Haven, Horn Lake, Olive Branch, anywhere and everywhere in between in any condition. And yes, they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pen, 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses.
Hi, I'm Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. Can anyone explain to me why anyone would care how I measure your roof? We have all heard about measuring your roof from outer space. Well, to be honest, there are aerial pictures that are taken every 4 years that can be used to measure a building, but it's not from outer space. Besides, no one, and I mean no one, can tell you what's wrong with your roof or even if you need one by using pictures that might be 4 years old. If you would rather do business with a family-owned and operated business with a lifelong tie to Memphis that refuses to mislead or use gimmicks, please give me a call. Best products, best warranties, and the best customer service we know how to provide. Fiveash Roofing, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Memphis Tigers home team. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
I'm here with outstanding team from Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway. They're online at lexusofmemphis.com. Gary, tell everyone how they can experience the Lexus of Memphis satisfaction.
Come in and be a part of our family at Lexus of Memphis. Experience the customer service that we provide to each guest like a member of our own family. If you're on the side of the road and you need us, we're there. If you need help with anything with your car, technology, Bluetooth, the app suite, we have a dedicated team to help you with this in your journey with your Lexus.
That's how they do it at Lexus of Memphis.
Have you been to a Burlington lately? They have unbelievable deals on amazing brands and styles at up to 60% off other retailers' prices. No coupons or sales, just fabulous values every single day. It's a treasure hunt with new bargains arriving all the time and savings that'll surprise you. At Burlington, you get more for less, whether it's back to school, work, or just back. Now more than ever, you'll love the deals. You'll love Burlington.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Love our text line at 67129. That's our First Bank text line. We love First Bank as well. Send it in for 5:30 as Drew and I debate Loserville for American sports. What town is it? Pro only, major league only, no college influence. Don't tell me, well, maybe Charlotte because the Panthers haven't won and the Hornets aren't any good, but we got the Carolina Duke influence. No. That won't count. Too soon for Charlotte anyway. I don't think they've been around. Not enough scar tissue to use another sports cliche. But send it in at 67129 at the First Bank text line. We'll get to that at 5:30. I love the text so far. You like them, Drew, on some of the nominees. And one, I sent back a question that I kind of had it on my list, but did you see that?
Yeah, I did. I guess it doesn't count. I mean, it's a little farther away, but if it's going to be lumped into a city, it should be that because realistically, that team plays in a small town, not a city.
Okay, so we'll get to that. 67129. We'll debate that as well. I know one thing. Tampa St. Pete is definitely not.
Nope.
It is not. Now, for a long time, the Buccaneers went the extra mile with their lack of winning, but they got their, they got a Super Bowl. That matters. And they got a Stanley Cup with the Lightning and held it for a long time because I think the league went on strike for the season after that, and they held on to it a long time. And to talk about a lot of sports with us, every week I'll send Drew the lineup and the different times and kind of the person's bullet point. And I like what he does. I'll send TJ Reeves, Bucks Radio, NFL, golf, college basketball, and Drew always puts it on the tweet. TJ Reeves, at Buck Sideline Guy, joining us to talk about everything. Floor is yours, TJ Reeves. You can talk about everything.
Well, we have bunches to talk about, and yes, I do remember, even though I'm getting older and they were a while ago, both the Super Bowl and the Stanley Cup win, because you love it when I do Cosell, the late Howard Cosell. I remember because I was there for both of those.
Exactly.
In San Diego for Bucks Raiders, and God almighty, could it be 16 years ago that the Lightning won the Stanley Cup over Calgary in a Game 7. I was there for that, sitting 3 seats away from the tennis great Jennifer Capriati and bodyguard/date. She was 3 seats away from me and Mrs. Reeves watching Game 7 that night. It was quite the crazy
Jennifer
scene.
Capriati needed a bodyguard?
The only thing I knew is this dude was built like a defensive lineman. And I don't know if it was boyfriend, bodyguard, or dual purpose, but he was going to make sure nobody was bothering her other than smiling and maybe giving her a high five when the Lightning scored a goal. So,
and yesterday, your Tampa Bay Lightning in the marathon of marathons. I didn't think it would end. In baseball, a crazy one like that is just somebody going up there and swinging for the downs. And usually in that, because they're so tired, it's usually off of a carom instead of just an easy goal.
Well, it was crazy here yesterday. You're talking about the longest game in Tampa Bay Lightning history, the 4th longest game in the history of the Stanley Cup playoffs. And it's only Game 1, and thank God I think it ended about 20 minutes ago before we came on in the segment. Just to give you an idea, Drew, you're going to laugh at this too. You guys know this because whenever Wolo's on and Stats are on, we're talking about my family, my twins. All right, so we're living the quarantine still here in Florida and doing whatever we can, and we're trying to help my in-laws.
Your twins didn't graduate from college during that game, did they?
I think the in-law. I think that the twins not only entered high school, but they did graduate from the time that game began and ended yesterday. But get a load of this: my mother-in-law has had knee replacement surgery, so we're doing the good family thing, and we're bringing them food, and we have been for the last few nights. All right, so regulation ends, and I say to the twins, let's go right now because they live about 10 minutes away, and we'll have one of the twins is watching the game on the phone in the back seat, and I said, we'll drive this to the grandparents' house, and we'll see if they've scored, etc. We drive the food during the first overtime, get it to them. We stand around in the house for 5 minutes and watch a couple of segments, and they stop play, no score. Okay, let's get back in the car. Let's get back home. If they score, we'll see the highlights. We get all the way back home. Overtime number 1 is over. Lightning in Columbus yesterday afternoon. We decide we're now going to eat because we made the same meal for my in-laws that we had in the Reeves household. We eat during the second overtime, Brett and Drew, with the sound down and it's in the other room, and the game is not over. So now it is the intermission, and the twins want to do something else, and I decide to go walk the dog. And I say to my wife, just leave the TV going because I can rewind it and see the goal while I'm on the dog walk. I get back midway through the third overtime, which was now probably about 7 Eastern time, 7:30 Eastern time, 4.5 hours, something like that, from a 3 Eastern time start. The game is still not over. I'm glued. It ends the third overtime. The Twins come back for overtime number 4. How long is this going to take? Why are we still watching this? They're fed up. They now proceed to go and take showers, baths, get cleaned up, get ready for the evening time, whatever. And we're now in the 5th overtime when it finally ends close to 9:30, almost 6.5 hours later. Marathon doesn't do it justice. Most people that are good at it can run a marathon in like 3 or 4 hours. That was 6.5 hours,
right.
guys.
That's
crazy.
That's right, DJ. That's a great point. That is a great point. Go ahead, Drew.
I mean, that's the craziest thing about last night that I saw was that it was only the 4th longest NHL playoff game.
Right.
I mean,
one game like
gracious.
in 1936.
They had a game go to 8 overtimes, 8 sudden death overtimes, which the Lightning in Columbus were zombies anyway in about overtime number 3 after they played. And I've seen this a couple of times before. They had a 5 overtime epic one with Pittsburgh and Philadelphia back in the early 2000s. And those guys by overtime number 4 looked like zombies skating around. After the first couple of minutes of overtime, they got no legs left. How about the Lightning ate a full meal, boys? Chicken, pasta, and vegetables in between the 3rd and the 4th overtime. They fed them a full meal because they basically said, you played another game. You've played 6 periods.
Yeah.
You played another game and fed them. It is crazy. It broke the record for most shots on goal in any game, including that 8 overtime game. How about the goalie for Columbus? And I hope I get the pronunciation right. Eunice Nukasalo is, I think, how you
sounds
say
great.
it.
Yeah, sounds right.
It's close enough. He stopped at one point 65-plus shots in a row after the Lightning got their second goal, and then he finally gave up a goal in the 5th overtime on like the 88th or the 89th shot. You stop 65 shots in a row, and that's your fate later on in overtime number 5. It was crazy. I know Memphis is not a huge hockey market. There's a little bit of it. But it is Stanley Cup playoffs day and night now for the next 2 or 3 weeks because they're going to be making use of those 2 arenas in Toronto and Edmonton day and night. The Lightning, by the way, are slated to play it. Yeah, go ahead.
They had 2 overtime today.
Yeah,
Boston and Carolina played the 2 overtimes today.
11 a.m. Eastern time game because that game got bumped last night when the Lightning game went so long. So they played at 11 a.m., and they were still playing at close to 3:30 Eastern time today because it went double overtime. So the Lightning are slated to play at 3 o'clock tomorrow. I'm going ahead and blocking out Friday and Saturday for that one to end. I'm just going to go ahead and do that.
That's probably a smart decision, DJ, because if you go five yesterday, you're probably going to go 10 tomorrow. So it's a good idea to switch over to football. How impressed are you with training camp thus far, being and all the protocols that the Bucs have in place?
Well, that's the crazy thing. So we have all of this stuff going on with the college scheduling mayhem, and who knows where that ends. And by the way, there's a lot of angst in this market for USF, Drew and Brett, because they were slated to play the Texas Longhorns on Labor Day weekend and get close to a $2 million payday because Texas is buying out the contract. Instead of coming and playing a return game in Tampa, they're going to buy it out. So they're anxious about this. We're anxious as to whether the SEC, the ACC, the Big 12 are going to keep playing. Will these smaller conferences be able to survive and play? And they are doing their protocols. They're doing their testing. They're trying to do the best they can with what they have. And then you have the NFL, which, again, is watching all of this unfold, and they don't have a bubble system like what the NBA has in Orlando or like we were just talking about with the NHL in Toronto and Edmonton. And so they're trying to figure it all out right now as it goes along. So the Bucs have not started official training camp practice. That will begin, I believe, later this week or this weekend. And again, that will kind of go slowly. But this is a real feeling out process. I'm almost week by week here on how we go about it, and no preseason games. It's going to be very weird, no doubt.
What about the college football decisions made yesterday in Tampa St. Pete local talk radio? Is that because there's a lot of Ohio State, Michigan influence with the retirees? Does that move the needle?
Oh, absolutely it has, because the panic is, again, that the SEC may pull the plug. And if that happens, then the domino effect is complete every which direction, because that means the American Conference, where USF, UCF down the road in Orlando, Memphis, Cincinnati, Houston, all those programs, they're hinging on whether or not the big boys, the Power Five, are going to continue to play. But this is a humongous Gator market. We've talked about this on your show before. There are over 200,000 University of Florida alumni that live in the Tampa Bay area. It is a massive Florida Gator market. And they are anxious to see if the Gators can play a season, a highly anticipated season as well. And I keep saying this on all the shows and all the conversations. The only thing is that we know, we don't know. The only thing we know, we don't know right now as we go day to day and week to week. I'm fascinated as to whether or not Michigan, Ohio State, Nebraska, Iowa, the bigger programs are going to go ahead and try to play or not, and just play chicken with the Big Ten Conference and the presidents. Let's see what ends up happening with that right now, too. That's another part of this craziness that I know you guys have been talking about.
Yeah, TJ, one thing that I've actually been holding on to my notes since Monday, since I saw it on Twitter, to ask you about, and I know in this example you use the Big 12 and the Big 10, talking about travel partners. Do you think with the conferences left that could be an option?
I know for a fact it was being discussed. I don't know how far the discussions got, but there has been discussion about travel partners to cut down on the risk going back and forth of the spread of coronavirus in that two programs would go together to Texas, for example, and play TCU and Baylor and stay there. The travel partners would stay there and would play alternating at either TCU or Baylor. And likewise, like Kansas and Kansas State would go to a Big Ten travel partner like Nebraska or Iowa or something like that if it could be worked out. Now, the Big 12 went ahead and announced today 9 conference games and only 1 extra game. I would love to know if those same discussions are still going on right now about whether they would increase to a second or a third game like we're talking about besides the 9. You can play up to 12, which some other conferences are saying that. You can play up to 12 games if you want to. If the Big 12 would do that, it would include some of the teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Memphis Tigers right now have scheduled 11 games. That's right, Drew, isn't it?
Yeah, 11.
Only Purdue eliminated.
Mm-hmm. Still set.
And the American said the 8 conference games, and you can supplement with four more, however you can play them. And clearly, teams like USF, Memphis, Houston, Cincinnati, UCF, they would love to play Big Ten teams if those teams were available, and especially go take a payday of some kind to go play them at their place. So a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of people wondering whether Nebraska wants to use this to get out of the Big Ten and come back and be around Oklahoma and Texas and those teams again. How wild is that? If that's what's being worked out for the Big 12, I don't know that it's going to be the nuclear button, but we'll see. I thought it's very compelling game of chicken when Jim Harbaugh and Ryan Day, the coach at Ohio State, are essentially putting the presidents and the conference commissioner, a new commissioner, on blast about wanting to play games. And let's see what it leads to in the next couple of weeks.
TJ, I saw you can see almost anything, almost any speculation out there on the Twitter machine. Some of it good, some of it a little fanciful, and some of it I think just daydreaming, like the SEC trying to merge all those Big Ten teams that might be unhappy into an SEC East and West and a North and a South, and it'd be a 16 to 20 team league. That's not going to happen. One thing I did see, and I don't think this will happen either, but with the bowl games. The bowl games are going to be wrecked this year.
Right.
A person tweeted out, one game only this year. Ohio State versus Michigan at the Rose Bowl Stadium, and that's your Rose Bowl game.
Sign me up. If they're only going to play one game and practice all year to play each other, I'd watch if that's the case. That's wild because, again, we're all in different regions. You're in the Mid-South, which is the melting pot of the SEC, which also has some interest obviously in the Big 12 because of different allegiances, different alumni. The American Conference is obviously relevant there. In Big Ten country, they are going bananas, guys. I mean, I have talked to colleagues and media friends. I'm interviewing a couple of them coming up on the 3 Dog Thursday podcast. What are they going to do here when Michigan and Ohio State is everything that they talk about and aim for in terms of college football? And never mind Wisconsin and Michigan State and Penn State and the other powers in that conference and Minnesota off a great year last year, and it is all dead bang, stop, nothing. So, and the Pac-12, I don't know if it is as passionate. I know they care. I know that USC has as much tradition as any football program in America, but how much passion and how much do they care in those markets? I know in the Big Ten markets they certainly care. So this has been an amazing 2 or 3 days, and it's not over yet.
It's not close to over. This segment, unfortunately, TJ, we have to end it right there. We'll visit with you again next week. Thank you. Enjoy the hockey playoffs. I know when the Grizzlies are in the playoffs, the vibe around town and almost the sleepless nights and the anticipation of the next game, that is fun. It is fun to have playoff fever, you guys and gals, and I'm glad your twins love it. Some man someday will love that they're sports fans.
That's exactly right.
They'll love
and the
that.
good news.
Good child rearing, TJ.
Yeah, I love it. The good news is that was all during the daytime and not in the middle of the night. I kept explaining that to them. And tomorrow is in the daytime, too. Viva Daytime Sports. We love it. Be well, boys. See ya.
Have a good one, TJ.
Thank you, TJ. Thank you very much. TJ Reeves with us every week, and we so enjoy it. And that was some marathon yesterday. Today, the little old paltry double overtime, that was nothing compared to yesterday. And Drew, you saw it. You've seen it with the Grizzlies playoff runs. Even those late games, those 8:30 schedule games, it really never tipped till about 8:50, and they run longer because of commercials. All the timeouts are used, and it's very harrowing in those games. Nothing better in that building. Only thing to ever touch that vibe in that building is like Tigers in Tennessee, Tigers in Louisville, a big Tiger game. But for the vibe in the building and around town and the anticipation, playoff fever's real.
Oh, there's nothing like it. I remember my first Grizzlies playoff game I was able to go to, I think was 2012, 13, sometime around there. It was against Oklahoma City. And extremely
13,
extremely long game. I think it was game 3 for only a Grizzlies win at home during the series, and it could have lasted 6 hours, and I would have been just as on the edge of my seat as anything. There isn't a dull moment when you're playing playoff basketball or playoff anything.
It's not, and so much fun if you're if you're winning and you're advancing in the playoffs. It's always so much fun. And maybe one of my favorite, to win, to advance to the Western Conference Finals in 2013 was, I guess that's a highlight, but back to that first playoff series win, that big high floater, and it felt like the ball was in the air. Just in term, I mean, you can feel it now. Like, is it ever going to come down? And Dave and I were sitting by each other in the old media seating in that semicircle in the more eastern area. You remember that area?
Oh, yeah.
And we were sitting there, and that's the end Zebo was shooting on. And I'm not kidding you. I mean, it was like watching the arc of a rainbow, and it finally splashed down. And I mean, the party was on. How it felt outside the building that night, and finally to have that playoff success was so much fun. But another in the next round against Oklahoma City, it was the Saturday afternoon game before the triple overtime heartbreaker on Monday night, and it was like a 2:30, 3 o'clock tip, but an afternoon game. That one went, I think, to overtime, maybe not double, but at least one overtime, and the Grizzlies won that and thought pretty much was in command of that series. Then had that triple overtime loss on Monday night, and one of probably the crushing loss in Grizzlies playoff history. But it is fun, and they are enjoying that vibe. But we're going to get back to that, and we love that the Memphis Tourism and Sports Council, that they're alongside us, partnering with us in Memphis and Shelby County. You can experience the great outdoors with amazing amenities as a community member or visitor, whether it's riding bikes through Shelby Farms Park across the city via the Green Line or gliding over the Mississippi on the Big River Crossing. These are just some of the reasons that make Memphis one of America's best bike cities. Outdoor enthusiasts also won't want to miss Bass Pro Shops at the Pyramid and then take their gear to fish, kayak, or paddleboard on our waterways. If you prefer to be a spectator, when we get the Redbirds back, that or 901 FC or at FedEx Forum for Grizzlies and Tigers games, we know we've got a lot in store for us and a lot of great things at Memphis Tourism and Sports Council that they partner with. The team at Memphis Tourism and Memphis Sports Council, they make it easy to plan your path for exploring the great outdoors and enjoying our great city. Visit memphistravel.com and get outside today, and when we can get back inside, we will do it. We wrap up this first hour on Sports Time coming up next.
Search Sports 56 on Facebook and give us a like. And follow us on Twitter at Sports 56 WHBQ. We are real sports talk. Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM, 96.1 FM, and 87.7 FM. As well as online around the world at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere on your phone or tablet by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, tell Google or Alexa to play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned to real sports talk. Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Save now on your 2021 swimming pool at Family Leisure. Buy now at 2020 pricing and save your spot for the first installation of 2021. Patio furniture 20 to 30% off. Play gyms in stock. Beat the heat with an indoor game table or slate pool table. Pool toys and floats up to 30% off. Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together.
Family and fun. fun come together.
It may not be stomach issues.
For me, it's intense gas, or pain, or diarrhea, sometimes all at once, over and over.
I spent years with the symptoms, but could never figure it out.
No matter what I did, they never went away. So I decided to break it down for my doctor and get really specific about my symptoms.
We discovered that exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, may be the reason for my stomach issues.
EPI is caused by my pancreas. It leads to diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools. The symptoms just don't go away.
But EPI can show up with even one symptom.
The good news? EPI is manageable.
But to get to the right diagnosis, you have to break it down for your doctor and get specific about the severity of your symptoms.
Visit identifyepi.com to learn more and use the symptom checker to help change the conversation with your doctor. Brought to you by AbbVie.
Summertime and the living is easy. No more cutting or paying utilities. Literally, you guys, Town Village Audubon Park, nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. Looking for a great place to retire, but you still have a very active lifestyle? Then visit Town Village. Only requirements that you're 55 plus. Prices per month starting at $24.50. The Gourmet Chef welcomes you to visit our restaurant and bistro. Package includes 3 complimentary meals per day, maid service, free local transportation, monthly coffee club, theme dinner parties, lots of fun. Visit us and call Daniel or Bo at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home. Town Village Audubon Park.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Thank you, Carl. We welcome you back. First hour about to wrap up. Drew, I did the research today. It wasn't very hard to do. Last time, no football for the University of Memphis Tigers. Well, that was in post-World War II. It was the season of 1946. They missed a lot of the war years and into 1946 as we were still recovering and trying to just reset our lives. The last time for Alabama, Auburn, Florida, Kentucky, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Tennessee, 1943. They all missed the 1943 season due to World War II. I know a lot of people don't realize this. In 42 and 43, the very, very real specter of defeat in World War II existed. It was real, and it was, according to everything I've read, very, very perilous and frightening times. Last time for LSU, 1918, World War I. Same for Missouri, World War I for Mizzou. Last time for Arkansas and Texas A&M and just those two. Those two. 1893. They didn't start football until 1894. So they haven't missed a season since they started, not even for Spanish flu or World War I or World War II. South Carolina started football in 1892. Missed the season of only played one game in 1892, missed the 1893 season, and they have played continuously since 1894 without missing a season. Vanderbilt, they started football in 1890. They haven't missed a season. The last time they haven't played was before they didn't have football, 1889. So that's what we would be looking at for the SEC and the Tigers, with the Tigers missing the 46 season, a lot of schools missing the 43 season, both of those because of World War II. We will see if we miss this season for 2020.
I'm still not 100% I'm still not really on the optimistic side that it's going to happen. I think that ultimately we eventually will have to shut down. But I'm with Mike Oresco and the other conferences in the fact that we don't need to shut it down now, just in case things do turn around. Let's try to be as optimistic as we can, because being optimistic costs just as much as being pessimistic. It's free. We can hope and we can try, and like I said, if we got to shut it down 5 minutes before kickoff, then that's what we got to do. But we need to at least give this time to figure it out, because like Dave likes to say that almost every day they're adding a new vaccine to the trial pool. We're over 100 and at least over 100 different vaccines right now.
But even with super miracle drug now with this myocarditis, that recalibrates everything. And I don't know enough about it. I'm going to give the proviso that I am not a cardiologist, but I have a best friend, and I mean super tight, that I can get on the phone at almost any waking hour and in sleeping hours, that has told me about everything he knows about it. And he says that often is associated with almost any with almost any virus, almost any illness that you have, and you have to keep a close watch on it. But why is myocarditis just going to strike football players? You almost see some of those stories. Well, you see a lot of the college football prophets of doom thinking, it's only going to hit football players and larger people. Well, there are larger people in the NBA.
Yeah, there's larger people out and about.
In basketball.
In every sport. There are larger
shot
people.
putters.
Exactly. I mean, for some of them, there might be an underlining heart condition. I mean, I personally have an underlining heart condition where it's not going to kill me, but if I got COVID and this happened, then it might help and speed up the process of my final day. But if it's just as deadly if you get it from the flu or any other virus that we already know of, then shouldn't we have already know how to deal with it and know that it could affect something? So it shouldn't really be that big of a deal now.
Journal after journal written about it. And I don't want to call it the myocarditis red herring, but just awfully convenient that it popped up that it's going to be the silent killer right here when some momentum was being gained in trying to have a college football season. I do think there are the prophets of doom that are working overtime against the sport of football, and they have been for years, from the head injury stuff to now. I don't know what they think the end result's going to be, but it won't be pretty for everyone else. Hour 2 is going to be pretty for us, though. I can guarantee you that. And it starts with John going with golf talk and golf picks. That's up next.
Frontier Western Store is open and ready to serve you for all your needs in boots, apparel, pet food, and more. Frontier is proud to be a local leader here in the Mid-South when it comes to boots. Stop by the store today for an incredible selection of name brand work and dress boots. Come browse aisles and aisles of top quality boots at everyday low prices in our world famous boot showroom. Dan Post, Rocky, Durango, Twisted X, Georgia, Ariat, and many more. There are so many styles, colors, and fits available, you might need a hand picking out your favorites. Luckily, Frontier's knowledgeable sales staff will cheerfully assist you with any questions you have and ensure the proper fit of your new boots. Frontier also has an amazing selection of jeans and shirts by Wrangler, Ariat, and Carhartt, as well as a fully stocked women's boutique department with thousands of tops and dresses at unbelievable prices. New arrivals often. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Gilman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Family owned and operated since 1967.
It may not be stomach issues.
For me, it's intense gas, or pain, or diarrhea, sometimes all at once, over and over.
I spent years with the symptoms, but could never figure it out.
No matter what I did, they never went away. So I decided to break it down for my doctor and get really specific about my symptoms.
We discovered that exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, may be the reason for my stomach issues.
EPI is caused by my pancreas. It leads to diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools. The symptoms just don't go away.
But EPI can show up with even one symptom.
The good news? EPI is manageable.
But to get to the right diagnosis, you have to break it down for your doctor and get specific about the severity of your symptoms.
Visit identifyepi.com to learn more and use the symptom checker to help change the conversation with your doctor. Brought to you by AbbVie.
Napa know-how.
This month, Napa's got all kinds of motor oil deals that can save you some serious cash. Like a 5-quart jug of Napa full synthetic motor oil for just $16.49. With savings like that, you may start feeling like a VIP. But don't let it go to your head. These oil deals are for everyone. Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa Know-How.
Napa know-how.
General States pricing. Sales prices not include applicable state, local taxes, or recycling fees. Offer ends 8/31/20.
Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Hour number 2 on this Wednesday afternoon, and during the golf season, at this time we talk golf and make golf picks. We'll talk about the Wyndham Championship this week in North Carolina, the last regular event on the PGA Tour before the playoffs start next week at TPC Boston. Also want to thank First Bank for being our telephone sponsor, our phone number sponsor, and our text line sponsor. It's 360-8255 or at 67129. At 67129, we have a lot of texts that we'll get to at 5:30 concerning what American sports town is Loserville. It's not us in Memphis. We know that. We hadn't been around long enough, not enough scar tissue for sure, but maybe we'll build it through the years, but we won't be that even then, because I think the years ahead for the Grizzlies will be very successful. I know this. You can be successful with building your story at First Bank. It's a success story, and that's where it needs to start. They know what you need, reliable, trustworthy Memphis bankers that can give you an answer. They make the decisions about you for you right here in Memphis, not out of town, no loan committee in Nashville or in Birmingham to consult with. They'll give you the direct answer here, and they'll do it quickly at First Bank with the First Bank banker you're dealing with. Visit firstbankonline.com. That's firstbankonline.com. They're here to help you, whether you're a business looking for a loan to expand or refinance an existing one, a homeowner looking for a mortgage or home equity line, a consumer wanting to finance your dream car, wanting a competitive rate on CD deposits. Let First Bank handle your banking needs. Visit firstbankonline.com. That's firstbankonline.com. John Goen joins us from Timber Trust Golf down in Olive Branch, where they have had the rounds this summer and this calendar year. It continues with the good weather and the timely rains and the fun golf course that you have down in Olive Branch. And unlike Augusta National, you have patrons, and you need patrons at Timber Trust Golf, John.
We do have patrons, and, we're happy to see all the patrons that are coming down and visiting and being able to see kind of what's going on down there. So quite happy to see that. Yeah, unfortunate about Augusta National, but kind of felt that coming from that perspective, yeah. And we'll just kind of see, where it goes. A bit unfortunate. I mean, I was actually planning a potential trip down there to be able to go visit in November, and we're going to try to squeeze that in, but it doesn't look like that will happen now.
John, I held out hope, and it's just my esteem for that club and that membership and all that they put on and have put on. I love it. I know many don't, but I do, and I do it unapologetically. And love when I can be there. I held out hope that they were going to build their own biosphere, that somehow with Neil Armstrong suits they would have every patron in that.
Yeah, you would have kind of felt that was going to be the one place, if you were going to be able to take in a golf tournament this year, that would have been the place, just because they would generally tend to maybe buck some trends and kind of feel like that's something that they could pull off at the end of the day. So. But clearly, they are like many. I mean, I've felt this from the get-go. I mean, you don't want to be the first that's going to start allowing spectators, because the what if factor right now. And that's why, I was amazed that the tour built the schedule around and setting some hard dates to allow folks to be able to come out and see golf tournaments. Just again, I just felt like that it was aggressive. Felt like that at the end of the day that they were gonna kind of stick their neck out there a little bit further than they wanted to. I don't disagree with the commissioner's stance on we have to figure out a way to live with what is going on in our society nowadays, and that we can't continue to just absolutely freak out over positive tests.
We're trying to bat 1,000,
in
though,
these
John.
controlled. Right, I understand that, but I mean, we're not going to bat 1,000.
We can't.
I mean,
You
know,
can't.
there are plenty of Major League Baseball players that are making millions of dollars batting under 300 or under, for crying out loud. So
go to the Hall of Fame if you get 300.
Right. If we're allowing them to be as aired as they are, I mean, we've got to take the exact same stance. And I know that's it's not the right example, just from the standpoint of we're talking more about lives and we're talking about hits, and I completely understand that. At the same time, there's, as Jay Monahan said, we are going to have positive tests. It's how we continue to react and adapt and adjust to, when those positive tests happen and how we handle it, as opposed to just completely shutting it down.
Yeah, John, it's just troubling times that we live in. Nobody really knows what's the best plan of action to take. But from last week out at TPC Harding Park, how do you think that course that, hasn't been held a tour event since 2015, how do you think it stacked up against your normal courses on the tour?
Well, I think it clearly held its own. I thought the golf course setup was very fair. I thought that it was interesting on, some days. Saturday in particular, there were a lot of back left tucked pins, but that's the way that those greens set up. They had a lot of areas, over a bunker, back left corner, a lot of room, a lot of area to be able to kind of tuck a few pins into some spots where, players just weren't going to be able to be aggressive and go after it. The weather for the week, I think there was really only part of around where it was actually sunny. I mean, you heard the comment during the broadcast that a lot of locals refer to August as August, just because of the continual marine layer and how it can just sit on you. I mean, I remember when I was out there in 2009 for the President's Cup, and it was beautiful up until Wednesday. And Wednesday afternoon, the marine layer rolled in October, and it sat over that golf course for the rest of that event. And if it was earlier in the week, it would have been absolutely spectacular. I mean, mid to upper 70s, beautiful weather, sunshine out. You see the marine layer roll in, and it stayed over that golf course for the entire event. And it's unfortunate just because of how beautiful that part of the country is. And but again, I think the golf course really held up well to have, 13 under win. And the way that they mixed up Sunday, having two drivable par fours, one on the front, one on the back, for these guys to, be a bit more aggressive and really kind of see if you could play catch up. And obviously the shot on 16 that Colin Morikawa hit was spectacular.
Boy, it was. And I don't know what was better, the chip or that drive, but to stand on that tee 294 yards away with that risk reward, and you knew after he did that and made the putt.
And hit a fade.
And hit a little bit of a fade, and that was the shot that won him his first major at 23 years young. John, through the years of us being friends, us talking just kind of our worldview on golf courses, I can't stand a par three over about 175 yards. Anything 220, 230, 240 is my least favorite hole at Augusta National, number 4, that par 3. I think it's just too long. And one of my favorite holes on earth at Augusta National, number 12, the par 3 at Pebble Beach, the postage stamp. We don't need 200-yard par 3s. What we need more of, drivable par 4s. That's more fun for the weekend player and for the big boys.
Well, but I think it also has to make sense, right? I mean, we talked right after FESJI that, at Southwind, they were trying to force a drivable par 4 into the latter part of that round. And I just don't think that at TPC Southwind that there is the opportunity to be able to do that and have it make sense. On that golf course, I think that you have the ability, clearly they did on one on the front, one on the back, and 16 was the main one the entire week on the back 9, to make a drivable par 4, and it makes sense as to how it plays within the round. So I get the excitement that either TV and spectators want with regard to a drivable par 4, but I also think you can't ruin the golf course in order to try to force it in there just to try to create some,
you don't want to go rinky
excitement.
dink. No.
Right, exactly.
No. What about, John? What about one day? How would this work with the pros? How would it work with the tour and even the members seeing it? That if on number 9 at TPC Southwind with the old grain silo on the left as you're looking down the hole, what if they moved it up 45, 50 yards? What kind of risk reward then?
Well, I think the big thing you'd have to do there is, similar to some of the other holes that they have looked at over the years, is you'd have to change that greens complex. Just because if you're going to force carry it that far, that green, I think in my mind, has to be a lot larger, or you got to take the water feature out of it. I don't disagree with making a risk reward hole, but you do have to create some sort of a bailout for these guys, or something to where it's just not completely a forced carry over water. 9 is not a bad hole from that standpoint, but the depth of that green isn't very big, and you've got water in front, so you're having to force carry over everything. And with as firm as those greens get, the ball generally, if you're hitting even a 3-wood downwind on that hole, because that hole is prevailing a southerly wind, so that hole would generally play down. So the green won't be very receptive. So therefore, I think you'd have to enlarge the size of that green and increase the depth in order to make that a risk-reward par 4, from a drivability standpoint. 12 has been talked about at Southwind, but do you potentially look at having to fill in, part of the lake there in order to create, again, an area to where players can hit and not just, be absolutely just, take an unfortunate drop, or hit it in the water there. You'd have to increase the depth of that hole as well. There was talk about 15 at Southwind. There was talk about putting a tee on 17, pushing a tee up, in front of the forward tee box there to have it play about, I think 330-ish. But the only issue on 17 is outside of the 2 bunkers, there's really no risk there. So you'd have to create something, from that perspective. So, again, I think at Southwind, it's a bit of a forced issue on a golf course that the players right now seem to really, really like the way that the golf course setup is, and they're not the ones begging for a drivable par 4 on that golf course. I think they feel like that 16 is an opportunity for them to be able to make up some ground. 17, you've got to be able to play 2 pretty good shots, and especially if they wind up extending that hole back even further closer to the road and make it about 530-ish. You've got an opportunity there, and clearly 18 is a very challenging finishing hole. So, you can win or lose a golf tournament 15, 16, 17, and 18 at Southwind. I don't think that there's a need to really kind of force anything on that golf course.
Yeah, I agree with you, John. I kind of liked Brett's suggestion of 9, but other than that, I really didn't like any of the other ideas that you said that they've really floated around there. But Brett alluded to it earlier, and me and him both had different opinions on it. But for Morikawa on Sunday, what do you think was more impressive, the chip or the drive?
Well, I mean, the chip after the shot, I think, was probably pretty impressive. But to hit, I mean, again, to 7 feet from 294, and then step up and make the putt. I mean, you hit 2 really, really impressive shots when the pressure is on you to have to execute at the absolute highest level. And I think it was just very, very impressive that, he got the lead. Casey tied him for the lead. And then to step up on 16 and hit the shot that is right in his wheelhouse, right? We always talk about, as golf instructors, we want to develop a go-to shot for an individual. And we want to try to take part of the golf course out of play for as many players as we possibly can. That's how we, become a more consistent, better player. And clearly, Colin Morikawa, they talked about it before he hits the tee shot. That shot suits his eye. It's a go-to shot. It's exactly how he plays it every single time. He can hit a fade, and he stepped up on that hole and executed the exact way he's probably envisioned it 100 times in his head if he's, contending in a major. And clearly going to Cal and playing that golf course when he was at Cal, helped him to be able to have some experience stepping up in a pressure situation and be able to pull that shot off.
23 years young. He has a major. He's won 3 times on tour. He's only missed 1 cut financially. I'm sure he's pretty set. He might not be just the easiest life ahead of him, but if he never won another tournament, he's in good shape. Plot out his career, not through the balance of his 20s, just the next 2 or 3 years, just to say 26. What do you think his goals are?
He seems to have a little bit of drive in him. If you listen to post round and everything else, he seems to be a little, more driven right now. So could you see him, contend at a U.S. Open? Could you see him contend at Augusta? The remainder of this year. I could see him winning a few times on tour every single year for the next couple of years, the next few years. And as he continues to develop and grow on tour, clearly he's got time now. He's got 5 years. Yeah. He's set for the next 5 years. You're going to see exactly how driven an individual, and we've talked about this a lot with the younger guys. You saw how driven Jordan was. Yep. He has the magical 2015 season, and then from the short game shot, the chunk shot at Augusta National since there hadn't really been a lot. Yes, he's won a major, but since then, but there just hasn't been a lot of Jordan speed. Justin is still, I think, trying to figure himself out. Justin Thomas. Clearly he has the ability to win golf tournaments, but in an event such as, going from TPC Southwind and carrying a substantial amount of momentum and clearly playing well in Memphis and going out, I think that, he has a bit of a disappointing showing at the PGA Championship. So, Justin Thomas is another one. There's a lot of guys that win this kind of first major. Keegan Bradley, Jason Duffner, those types of individuals. What's the next step? Where do they go? And in those guys' situations, they've both kind of fallen off the face of the earth here a little bit. Keegan's had a bit of a revival, but where's Jason Duffner been? But again, I from everything that Colin Morikawa speaks about in post round, he just seems a bit more driven. He's not talking about Jack in 18, but he does talk about winning multiple majors, and he talks about winning more golf tournaments. So it'll be interesting to kind of see where he goes from here.
There's only been one man that talked about Jack in 18, and he's at 15. It was a big goal. It was a lofty goal, but I would say he's been pretty much in the ballpark. Well, we've got a new leader on our leaderboard, Drew Barrett last week, John, going with the Colin Morikawa second pick. It won quad money. That's $8 million on our picks. So he's in first. I'm in my traditional last place spot. So I pick first. John, you're unfamiliar territory. You're going to pick second. I have Ted Butler's picks for Dave with their two strategizing, and Drew will go last. I start the picks at the Wyndham Championship at Sedgefield Country Club in Greensboro with a local player, heavy favorite, Webb Simpson. John?
Hey, Drew, by the way, you take a beating a lot of the time in these things.
I really do.
Unfairly.
Great pick last week.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Great pick. Congratulations on winning quad money. It's not happened within this pick'em deal. So I'm happy that you jumped everybody to get to the top of the leaderboard with that pick. Great pick.
I appreciate it, John. I'm not gonna sit here and brag and wave my own little flag like Dave would. I'm gonna be humble about it and truly appreciate the win.
Even better. That's even better, John. Who's your pick?
All right,
at Wyndham.
I'm gonna pick a guy with momentum out of last week, and that's gonna be an Englishman, Paul Casey.
Paul Casey. Now, one knock on Paul Casey is he's never had that burning drive, and even after last week, he said, hey, I played well, did the best I could. Everybody knows me that knows this is not the most important thing in my life. See you next week. He was not that upset about it.
All you got to do is look at Paul Casey's bank account. I think he's doing just fine.
That would very much like Matt Kuchar. It would be the good life and the life that you could have a life. Now it's not the money that Tiger has, but you can go to any restaurant in Scottsdale and not be bothered. Like those, and Paul Casey lives out there, and I don't know that Matt Kuchar does, but you can have a normal existence really wherever you are, and I think that would be worth a lot if I was at that level. I would not want to be Tiger Woods. Money or the spotlight. Number 3 pick this week, it is Ted picking for Dave, and he takes Justin Rose, who had a good tournament last week also. Drew?
Yeah, before I make my pick, I do just want to say, for Paul Casey, I've never seen anyone more excited to finish second. Just so happy. Like, it's good.
He was fine.
Hey, good job, Colin. I'll take my second place money, and I'll see y'all later. Like, it was just so random to see somebody that close. To just
make
be
sure
like,
you have my
that's
bank
good.
account information right on the automatic deposit. I mean, he was fine by it.
Confirm my routing number and my bank account. Here you go, boys.
Just make sure the last number is an 8. It's not a 0. Okay, it's good.
Your 8-digit routing number now, please. Yeah. All right, Drew, your pick.
I'm going to take a guy I think who is starting to be on the up and up. Had a pretty decent tournament last week, so I'm going to take Tommy Fleetwood.
Tommy Fleetwood going international with the Tommy Fleetwood pick. So back around to me for shot picks. This is 31 and up in the official world golf ranking. Give me Kevin Kisner.
Yeah, that's a good pick. That is a good pick.
Thanks, John.
I'm gonna take a guy who's sponsored by Wyndham, and he's played well in his sponsors event, and that's going to be Brandt Snedeker.
Brandt Snedeker from Vandy. Back around to Dave and Ted. First up on the shocks, 31 and up. He wanted Ches Reavie. I think he's about 35th. Ches Reavie. He had a good tournament last week also, Drew. Yep.
Well, now that I'm in first place, I can go back to my tried and true of screwing these picks up. And with my tried and true number 2 pick, I'm going to go with my guy, 115th in the world. Won it in 2017, finished 5th last year. Give me Siwoo Kim. I might be the biggest Siwoo Kim fan in America.
You are, man. You really ought to get in on the. You really ought
I need
to
to
get
start
in on
the
the
fan
royalties. Matt Kuchar lives in Sea Island, Georgia, Texture
right?
tells us. Very good.
Yeah, I know it was up to 31.
31 and up, Drew. We didn't go 116
We
and up.
didn't need to go 61 or 61 and below for crying out loud.
Well, I got to give you. Y'all are so far behind. I got to give you somewhat of a freeway.
Thanks, Dave.
John, we had a texter ask us, and before you tell us about Timber Trust, the texter wants to know, at your golf course, do you have, for normal hitting people, a drivable par 4?
Yeah. I mean, 5 is an opportunity, most definitely for I think the 260-ish type driver, 260, 270 driver. There's a lot, and for a firm golf course right now. I mean, there's a lot of holes at Timber Trust, 5, 6, 8. That I think for the average golfer, there's a lot of, short irons in your hands, and not a lot of trouble if you're able to, kind of put the ball in play, and be able to score there. And realistically, I mean, there's some bailout room on 4, and that's truly what I like. I mean, 3 is a short hole, but you've got the tree there that you do have to kind of work the ball around a little bit. But, I mean, it's just so user-friendly, especially on the front side. Backside's a little bit longer, creates a little bit more of a challenge. But, really, 3, you get into that stretch 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8 at Timber Trust. And golf course for the average driver, 250 to 270, is going to play very user-friendly and has the opportunity to put some shorter irons in your hands to where you can come out and be able to score and play the golf course well. We hosted the Sneds Tour event this past weekend, had a young man on Sunday make a hole-in-one on number 9 and shoot 64.
Whoa! Wow!
They were playing the white tees. Absolutely, blew the golf course up. But you know what? And I said somebody come in and start talking about it. I'm like, what else do you want? I mean, what else do you want in a public golf course? A golf course where I can come and play and shoot maybe my best round ever and go, I want to come back here. That's That's exactly what I look for from a public golf course experience, because that's what I want to do. I mean, every time I step up on the tee box,
and you want them back.
Right. I don't want to go and, have my brains beat in at some difficult golf course every single time where I know I got to, be demanding with a driver and drive the ball well off the tee box and everything else. So, that's the one thing that I have truly said and truly enjoy about our golf courses is that I think for the average golfer, the public golf course player, that you can come down to Timber Trust and really be able to, have a good, enjoyable round of golf and potentially have the opportunity to maybe play your best round of golf ever. And, that's all we're ultimately trying to do and really just create, the best customer experience we possibly can. I mean, clearly with the fin cycles, with, our staff and folks that are there right now, just can't be happier with everything that's kind of going on. Golf course is just continuing to improve. And Jacob Marsh, our golf course superintendent, and his entire team just do a spectacular job. Alan Hickam, came over from North Creek when we first kind of bought the place, and Alan is just known for being that customer service guy, and so just can't be happier with the staff that we have and the experience that we create, and ultimately just how we treat people, and that's something to be proud of from my perspective. So. If you're looking to play a golf course that you could potentially come out and just enjoy it and have a great time and maybe have a shot at that career round, that Timber Trust is definitely your golf course. But the biggest thing too is just the customer experience, and that's what we ultimately strive for on day in, day out basis. So to book a tee time, you can either call us at 662-895-3530, or you can visit us at timbertrustgolf.com to be able to book your tee time for the weekend and everything kind of coming up. I mean, clearly we're getting ready. We're, really kind of getting close to the best time of the year for golf. And depending on what's going to happen with football, might be a great place to really experience fall golf, to be able to come down. And even if we do have some football out of some of the conferences, we're doing everything we can to create a great experience for the folks that want to get out, play golf in the morning and maybe come in and watch some football either inside or outside and just be able to hang out and just really enjoy what the weather is hopefully going to be for this fall. So look forward to everything and just look forward to having folks come out, and we look forward to just saying hello and greeting everybody as they come down.
And you will have a good time down there. John, good luck this week in the picks, and I know this is a busy time for you, and best to you and yours on their journey and their adventures, and we look forward to visiting with you next week. Thank you, John.
All right, guys. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next Wednesday.
Thanks, John.
You got it. John Goin from Timber Trust Golf, talking golf and making picks with us every Wednesday afternoon. We break now, but when we return, we will talk the business of sport, and there's a lot of repercussions out there in the business world with sports, like TV contracts and stadiums and suite rentals. We do that. We do that with Rick Harrow every Wednesday, and that's next on Sportstime.
Spend your lunch with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy on Sports 56 middays, delivered by FedEx. Weekdays from 10 to 1 on Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7.
Hi, this is John Conway with Conway Services. Have you noticed your air conditioning system struggling to keep up this summer? It may just need a tune-up. Good news, it's super tune-up time at Conway Services. We'll come out and perform our exclusive 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-up on your air conditioning system for only $69 with a free on-leak check. That's right, Conway Services exclusive 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-up for only $69 with a free on-leak check. We'll remove years of dirt, grime, and leaves from your air conditioning system. It's like taking your air conditioner to a car wash, all for only $69. If you have an air conditioner that leaks Freon every year, with Conway Services Super Tune-up, we'll include a free leak check. If that's not enough, we'll treat your unit with a special Teflon coating to help protect against the hot Memphis sun. So call Conway Services, the Mid-South's premier heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric service company at 384-3511. And call this week, and we'll do your super tune-up for only $57.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
Hi, this is Troy Five-Ash, owner of Five-Ash Roof Services. You've heard me talk about how we offer the best products, the best warranties, and the best services for years. Now let's talk about pricing. Pricing should never be the only reason you hire a contractor, but in today's world, pricing is always a consideration. So we suggest you get 2 or 3 estimates for your roof replacement from a reputable, licensed, and insured company, and then give us a call. If we can't beat your best price for a comparable roof system by more than $100, we'll give you $100. It's that simple. We are so sure we can offer you the best price, beating all other qualified companies. We will hand you $100 if we can't, and thank you for the opportunity. So give us a call. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? Make $100? Five-Ash Roof Services, a proud supporter of Tiger Athletics and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Five-Ash Roof Services, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Hey, we understand. With everything that's happening, with all the new regulations, maybe you're not ready to come and hang out at Sweetgrass to catch a ball game. We want you to, we really do. And we're open for you to do just that. But we're also offering the next best thing, the new Sweetgrass Tailgate Party Packs. Whether it's wings, house-made dips, sliders, or other Sweetgrass tasty treats, all you have to do is call us or go to sweetgrassmemphis.com to order just what you're dreaming of when you're dreaming of watching sports and enjoying some sweet, sweet Sweetgrass.
Start your day at Sunrise Memphis. Located in Midtown, enjoy delicious biscuit sandwiches and all their menu has to offer with quick and easy to-go and delivery options. Whether it's breakfast, brunch, or lunch, don't distance yourself from great food. For more information on Sunrise Memphis, visit sunrise901.com or call 901-552-3144 to place your order. Stay healthy and eat Sunrise Memphis today.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
We welcome you back. We will visit Rick Horrow about the business of sports. You can follow Rick on Twitter at Rick Horrow. We visit with him every Wednesday afternoon at this time, part of the NBC family of stations, visiting professor at Harvard, graduate of the Harvard Law School, and he'll join us to talk about the ever-moving parts world of the business of sports right now. And you know, every stadium, every school, every sports team out there, Drew, they're going through the fine print on heck, something as simple as the season ticket package or the suite sales.
Yeah, there's just so many things that go into college football and college and athletics in general. And I think I was talking to somebody last night about this, one reason why I think Memphis is able to kind of have somewhat of a pocket that a lot of universities don't is the fact that we don't pay for our own stadium. Where our stadium is funded by the city, and we don't have to personally pay for the upkeep and the advancements on it year in and year out, which has kind of helped the University of Memphis in these trying times.
They have a rental agreement, but you're right. They're not on the hook that other 11 months a year or 10 months a year. You know, if you use it over 7 Saturdays, that'd be about 10 months a year. But you're right about that. It's time to visit with our friend Rick Horrow. Let's have his walk-up music. Rick Horrow joins us now, and it doesn't feel like the first time. It feels like many times with Rick Horrow, but we like bringing him into that kind of energy, and we need the energy right now in sports, Rick.
Yeah, everybody's deflated, but listen, we'll get through it, and, the interesting dynamic will be that I've never seen such flux and uncertainty and the kind of running for self-interest since the old conference realignment days when everybody was scrambling around to do the right thing in their own interest. And then, before that, the College Football Association, which was the whole group of people who were going to sue to be able to negotiate television rights that then kind of built the conferences the way they are. And it is a tough time for everybody because one of the things that happens is not only the $3 billion that would be lost this year from communities and teams and merchandise and fans and television, but the psyche. And it's a sad day for people, and we'll see if it's a sad day with the SEC, and we'll see if it's a sad day with the ACC, but it remains to be seen.
The athletics director at Ohio State University, Gene Smith, has confirmed through Adam Rittenberg's original reporting that there will be no options being explored for fall competition. His quote, "There's not a fall option. We had hoped and just realized that not too long ago. We're all about the spring, and how do we set that up?" How do they set that up, Rick?
Well, that's a question because there's a lot of discussion about whether it is really healthy from a physical perspective to play, 20 some odd games in the calendar year. And so, how do you practice in the cold? How do you start the season? What do you do with the national championship games and playoffs, which now, a couple of power conferences may play in early and a couple may play late, but, you can't have it in the middle. So there are honestly more questions than answers. I can't even begin to say that here's the way you do it, because the athletic directors, they're going to be paid a lot to try to figure this stuff out. And one of the big problems is the kind of variability of all of this. What made sense yesterday doesn't make sense today and may not make sense Monday. It's a moving target.
Yeah, it is a moving target. We don't know where that target's going to be tomorrow or next week, so we just got to kind of wait and see. But obviously, we know the financial hit that a lot of universities and programs are going to take if they don't play. How freaked out are the networks right now, your ESPNs, Fox, and ABCs? How freaked out are they over the financial losses that could happen?
Well, and they don't have to pay the rights fees, so they're as freaked out maybe about lack of advertising. ESPN's number is about $700 million that they get annually from the variety of college football sponsors, the AT&Ts and the Dr. Peppers, the big State Farms, the Home Depots. Lee Corso is 84 this year. He would have been in studio, or now he'll be at home, and he'll be at home watching. So, listen, the freaking out is the community vendors in small town stadiums, the rights fee non-paid recipients, the colleges, and, of course, the networks, too, because the corporate advertisers, will not have to pay them right away, but it's all about renegotiation. And what will happen is we're sure that all of the networks and everybody in the industry, I think, when this all shakes out, will want stability, and they'll want to figure out how to move some of the front-end misery to the back end so everything just doesn't fall apart. So look for some of that soon.
Rick, some of those spots, like in the Pac-12, well, Los Angeles, they're a little insulated from just the college football hit to USC and UCLA. And same for Tempe with Arizona State with the proximity to Phoenix and Scottsdale. And same for the Bay Area teams. Little different when you get out to the Palouse and Washington State, and even at Oregon and Oregon State, and then in the Big Ten. Maybe not as much for the Gophers in Minneapolis, but a disaster, a nightmare for State College, PA.
Well, and East Lansing, Michigan, right, and Bloomington, Indiana, and on and on. And so when you talk about the university-driven towns, I just was talking about the economic impact that's quantifiable, and Columbus, Ohio is Columbus Blue Jackets, clearly, but they really primarily bleed Ohio State Buckeyes. So we can all lament the losses, and, the players. One of the big hits are the players who decided that even if the schools are going to be playing, they don't want to take the risk if they are draft worthy. Greg Rousseau, who was probably the top lineman in the draft and clearly one of the hopes for the University of Miami down here, declared that he's not playing because he wants to protect himself for the draft. And who can blame somebody, especially with some of the information about the effect on the heart, et cetera? Again, the real problem is not what we know, but what we don't know.
Mm-hmm. And piggybacking off the small town finances, do you think that that's a talking point or an argument of why the Big 10, the Big 12, and the SEC are pushing forward, just due to the fact that a lot of their universities are located in small town and rural areas where the whole budget is made up in 3-4 months a year.
Well, it's an interesting argument to say that the leaders of these various colleges are community-first oriented. I'd like to think that if you take a look at the top 10 schools via football revenue, most of these schools' revenue total from sports is over $200 million. 80% of it is football revenue. The real issue there is 20 or so sports totally depend on that 80%, and not to mention Title IX. So that's an impact. But the other piece of this is that 8 out of those 10 top football programs, that 120 to 150 million apiece, are SEC and ACC schools. A couple Big Tens, and clearly Big 12, Oklahoma and Texas, and Big 10, Ohio State and Michigan. But the others are ACC and SEC. And I think the bigger reason is that they're making 120, 150 million dollars a year from football, and someone needs to figure out how to pay for those smaller sports, the foundations, the athletes on campus. It's not a greed issue. Anybody who's deciding to play college football and take some kind of risks clearly shouldn't be labeled as greedy. They should be labeled as trying to protect their balance sheets.
I agree wholeheartedly, Rick. I agree. I've said for a long time about, one of the bigger difference between college football and pro football. Well, college played on Saturday. It's mostly in Smallville. On Sunday, it's Big City USA for the NFL. And with that, Washington announced today that they will be fanless. Has a decision been reached on your Miami Dolphins? Will it be fanless? And if so, what will they do to those suite holders, those suite box owners? Will they defer everything to next year or have to write a refund check?
Yeah, it's an individual decision, by the way, as far as fanless or not, subject to local guidelines. And most of the teams have already said fanless. If not, then the governors of the states have said fanless. The Giants and Jets were primarily driven by the governor of New Jersey saying we're not going to put fans in the Meadowlands, and that takes care of two teams. So whatever the decision-making entity is, I'm pretty much sure we're not going to have fans, and maybe for the whole season, certainly for a good part of it. And then the refund policy, the suites, the season tickets, the NFL did a smart thing. They said, whatever happens, you're subject to a uniform refund policy. We're not going to be like baseball where we're going to have 30 different refund policies. Some work, some don't. And most of it's going to be the opportunity to roll it over, and then you get a refund if you don't want to.
Mm-hmm. And Rick, I know I'm kind of switching topics here, but I had to make sure I got this in, especially with you, because I need to know if it makes financially sense, because when I saw it last week, I thought that basically Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was throwing away $15 million. What's the financial reason for him and the group buying the XFL?
Well, it's the intellectual property. It's a trademark, and I also don't think that the XFL, and you guys are involved in it regularly, and in minor leagues, minor football leagues, it's kind of the same issue. They're basically 0 for 1.5. You really don't know definitively whether the XFL was definitely on a death spiral when COVID hit. You knew that the fans and the television were evening out, and let's just remember that Vince McMahon and The Rock are pretty aligned as far as marketing is concerned. So I think for those dollars, you buy the property. But you also give it a real shot. And it may not be, and I would say probably won't be 2021, just because everything is so COVIDed. But they may wait till the winter of 2022. You never know.
Rick, it's official. No fans on site at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the Indy 500. And that's coming up soon. It takes place on August 23rd.
Yeah, I was supposed to do that too, obviously, and I was thinking about going and having kind of a little dispensation to be there as a kind of a business person. I don't want to be near it. I would also rather watch it on television, to be honest about it. They're going to lose up to $20 million of fans and merchandise that aren't there. the prize money goes from $15 million to $7 million, and everybody understands it. And most important, the first time in 140 races that no fans will be in, including times of the Great Depression and otherwise, when they always figured out how to get fans in. And so tough times, turbulent times, but they're just trying to get through it.
Well, it is that for sure. One last question for you, Rick Horrow, talking the business of sports with you every Wednesday afternoon. Right now, opening night, September 10th in the NFL. Will we play opening night September 10th?
Oh, man, I hope so. I mean, that's not an answer you want to hear, but it's from my heart. And I'm just really hoping that without spikes and a camp that's manageable with tests that are positive, but some protocol, that everybody is able to kind of celebrate football in Kansas City. And it's one of those situations where the football season is now the first real game that everybody wants. And, right now everybody's geared toward it. And there's no magic of telling people what they want to hear. The NFL's protocols are as good as anybody else's. It's just now up to the virus.
It is up to the virus, and we have lived with it for a while, and we've got a lot longer to do that for sure. Rick, thank you. We'll visit again next week. Have a great week. We appreciate your time.
Wear your damn masks. How's that?
We do. We do.
Eric.
Thank you, Rick.
All right.
Thanks, Rick.
You got it, man. Even though Drew and Dave laughed at me on Friday,
that
March
was
13th
different.
for having –
They were different at times. We did not have the information we
I
have
was a
today.
trailblazer.
You were. I will give you credit for that, but I will not be made to feel shame or take any blame for laughing at someone wearing a mask on March 13th when everything was still open. Okay.
Gloves and a mask I had on, and I walked in, and y'all pointed and laughed at me. Almost hurt my feelings. If I didn't have such self-confidence, you may have rattled my feelings that day, Drew. You could have hurt my feelings.
Well, I'm sorry, but I will not stand here and be made to feel shame for laughing at you for doing that on March 13th. Now, if I did that July 13th, then yeah, I should feel some shame about that. But March 13th, come on.
And we kid. We are kidding. It didn't bother me a bit that day that you were laughing. I was looking out that day because I'm a little scared. I am, but I would go out with that type of protection and the social distancing. But Drew, you make a point there. I hear so many, and I'm not gonna call her name out. I saw a very noted. Well, I will too. Christine Brennan, the noted columnist from USA Today this morning on morning news television, and she was really laying it on. If we had been wearing masks and the protection and everything back in April, we would be much better off. And I was all but screaming at my TV. We had the New England Journal of Medicine telling us as late as May 21st it was not necessary to wear a mask, that it was only cosmetic and it was only making you feel good. As late as May 28th, it was a Harvard study. Harvard, usually that's the gold standard in impressing everybody, like our previous guest. It impresses me that he went to the esteemed Harvard Law School. But Harvard telling us on May 28th, masks aren't necessary, don't worry about it. So how are you telling me that if we'd have been doing it in April when we had that type of legitimate, ballyhooed, highbrowed institutions telling us as late as May, how are you telling me that we were wrong for not doing it in April?
You can't. I mean, I can only go off of
what you can't with a straight face.
No,
and
exactly.
You can't with legitimacy.
The only way you can do that is if you're trying to be look at me.
I told you
I
so.
was better than you. I told you so.
Exactly.
And I can only
and
go
that's
off
exactly what it is.
Yeah, I can only go off of what the Harvards and the New England Journal of Medicine and the CDC and the WHO tell me to do. And until they tell me to do that, I'm probably not going to voluntarily be put in a hazmat suit. But if in 2 weeks the CDC and those type of organizations come out and say,
do what they tell me.
Put a hazmat suit to go outside, or you're not going outside. I guess I'll buy a hazmat suit.
I'm going to follow the law, and I'm going to follow the edicts of officialdom, because I think they are looking out for the public's best interest. Because now this is very technical. So she was saying April, and that could be as much as April 30th, but it also could be had been as early as April 1st. On Sunday night, let me get the exact Sunday on that date. On Sunday night, March 8th, on 60 Minutes, so 20 3 days before April 1. And that's really being technical and narrowing it to fit my argument. But, boy, they never do that, do they?
No.
Dr. Fauci himself was telling us masks aren't necessary. Right now, you'd just be taking up stuff for frontline workers, and it's not going to be necessary, and it's no need to do that at all. So if you just want to be technical about it and just try to a little bit be consistent about it and be fair about it, you can. We break. When we come back, we wrap up hour number 2. You're listening to Sports Time.
Want to get your voice heard? Hit us up on the First Bank phone line or First Bank text line.
Save now on your 2021 swimming pool at Family Leisure. Buy now at 2020 pricing and save your spot for the first installation of 2021. Patio furniture 20 to 30% off. Play gyms in stock. Beat the heat with an indoor game table or slate pool table. Pool toys and floats up to 30% off. Family Leisure, Whit Road at I-40, where family and fun come together.
Family and fun come together.
Have you been to a Burlington lately? They have unbelievable deals on amazing brands and styles at up to 60% off other retailers' prices. No coupons or sales, just fabulous values every single day. It's a treasure hunt with new bargains arriving all the time and savings that'll surprise you. At Burlington, you get more for less, whether it's back to school, work, or just back. Now more than ever, you'll love the deals. You'll love Burlington.
Football is back, and so is HBO's Hard Knocks. This season, for the first time ever, Hard Knocks will follow 2 teams, the Chargers and the Rams, as they make their way through training camp and prepare for the most unprecedented season in football history. Catch Hard Knocks Los Angeles, Tuesdays at 10 p.m. on HBO, and stream it on HBO Max. Be sure to listen to the official Hard Knocks podcast hosted by Peter Schrager every week. Available wherever you get your podcasts.
You'll see the dedication in every single step. You'll see it in the smiles when smiles are hard to get. You'll see it in the little things that add up to success. The caring and passion are the things that we love best.
Wolf Chase Lemon Brace is your Mid-South provider for orthotics and prosthetics. They are an ABC-accredited facility, and their practitioners are ABC certified. At Wolf Chase Lemon Brace, their services include artificial limbs, legs and arms, braces of all kinds, and custom molded inserts. You can call them today at 901-507-7821 for their location on Highway 64 in between Germantown Parkway and Appling Road, or visit them at their new location in Jackson, Tennessee. That number is 731-660-5900, or visit them on the web at wolfchaselemonbrace.com.
To yours, Wolf Chase Lim and Brace.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Drew, I really do want to get to the Greek Freak news as it pertains to the Grizzlies for tomorrow, because if there's ever been, and sometimes I get a little overheated with must win, well, tomorrow kind of qualifies as must win. One other thing, and for our friend David Cobb, that joins us on Monday, and just such a fine fella and great reporter and just really, really decent person. He's making some traction on Twitter, and I love it, and in his reporting and his writing with this. And this is the last thing I'm going to say about it, and we're going to get back to just hits, runs, and errors, I promise. But on the myocarditis front, how does it only know if you're playing football? How does it not know you're playing tennis or playing croquet or lacrosse? How does it only know or golf or running in the steeplechase or whatever that gets the heart pumping? How does it only know when you're playing football?
It doesn't. I mean, it's going to. It probably will affect football players, but I don't think it will affect them more than it would everybody else. It just depending on
weightlifters,
anybody that does physical activity or even not. I mean.
Construction workers?
Yes.
The guy on the business end of a jackhammer busting up concrete?
The virus does not know who you are, and it does not care. And if it's going to affect you in that way, then it's going to affect you regardless of what you do in your leisure time or if you're an athlete or what you do profession. Me sitting here doing radio is not going to protect me from it any more than anybody else in the world. If it's going to get me, it's going to get me.
It could if you're mowing your grandparents' yard.
It could when I was doing that.
But does it know if you're doing that or if you're playing football? If it knows when we're playing football, this is one hell of a disease that's been thrown on us.
This is the smartest thing on the earth.
It's the topper of all time. All right, the Freak can't play tomorrow. He's suspended for the headbutting incident, and he wasn't going to play anyway. No. Tomorrow is setting up. I've gone through the scenarios. Help me, Drew. Can the Grizzlies lose tomorrow and still get in the 8-9?
I don't. Give me 1 second. I had it pulled up here a second ago.
I'm sorry, Carl. What's that?
I don't believe they can. They must win to get in that 8-9 game.
Okay,
I think they have to win.
They could if they lose tomorrow, but both the Suns and Spurs have to lose as well.
Okay, so
if everybody loses,
really take care of business tomorrow afternoon, and they're at worst the 9,
yes.
Right?
If Grizzlies win tomorrow and Blazers lose, they will be the 8. If Grizzlies win and Blazers win, or Grizzlies, Suns, and Spurs all lose, like I just said, they're the 9, and they are eliminated if Grizzlies lose and win by either Spurs or Suns.
Okay, I'm at Keith Smith's site now, at his Twitter site, and I have it in front of me now. We'll have Keith with us tomorrow at 4 to talk about it as the Grizzlies are tipping off. Let's look on the bright side of things. If they win tomorrow, they double their win total in the bubble, and they're in the playoffs.
That's a very optimistic way to look at it. Yeah,
I'm counting 8-9 as being in the playoffs. I say you're in.
I still don't think you're in. It's a play-in. It's a play-in game. It's just not for me. If you're not there when it's supposed
Teams
to
have gone to the Final Four out of Dayton, Drew.
Well, then they just played an extra game than everybody else. They weren't in it until they were in the round of 64.
Yeah, I'm not. Every year I used to kind of huff and puff about Dayton, but then when we get to Tuesday afternoon at 5:30, we usually carry that game. We usually carry that game on Westwood 1 starting at that time. I kind of like it. And then when they expanded Dayton, I didn't really mind it. Ole Miss had a big win one year up there, but I'd already started kind of warming up to Dayton before that. But at least one team, I'm pretty sure VCU came through there going to the Final Four. I think that's the only one.
Yeah, because they were an 11th seed that year.
Yeah, and that was when we thought Shaka Smart was the world's smartest guy. And now he's like a lot of people. He needs a good year. You can have a good dinner, and you can do it right now at the commissary. Either place, the new Collierville commissary at Houston, Levy, and Poplar, or the original in Germantown. Memphis-style barbecue and ribs, delicious and authentic. It screams Memphis. Begin your barbecue feast with some great appetizers like the cheese plate or the tamales or the barbecue nachos, smoked chicken wings. They are fantastic. Dig into the ribs or the barbecue shoulder, get it chopped or pulled on a sandwich, a gigantic sandwich, or get it on a plate and wrap it up with the best desserts anywhere, the best lemon icebox pie I've ever had, and the banana pudding. It is really good. It's about the best I've ever had. 901-754-5540. Online at commissarybarbecue.com in Collierville and Germantown. And everything safe, contactless, and extra cautious in these times at either place. The new Collierville commissary at Houston Levy and Poplar, or the original in Germantown. Again, 901-754-5540. Online at commissarybarbecue.com. When we come back, hour number 3, and we start that with Chris Raby talking the St. Louis Cardinals and Major League Baseball.
At First Bank Mortgage, their core purpose is to help you get to a better place. That better place may be a lower monthly payment, that vacation you thought was impossible, or getting into a home with a fenced backyard where your kids can play. To get into your better place, First Bank Mortgage makes decisions right here at home. Dedicated to helping you get to your better place, First Bank Mortgage. Call Daniel Mooney at 901-462-0145 today. NMLS 741022. Equal housing lender.
Hey folks, I'm Jarrett Carter. My family recently purchased East Memphis Ace Hardware at Quince and White Station, and we're excited to offer the best selection of Big Green Egg and Traeger grills. And then don't forget about our Benjamin Moore Paint Studio and the Garden Center for flowers. Save 60% with our new Duracell key fob replacement program. We have a master locksmith service as well as glass cutting and screen repair. The East Memphis Ace Hardware, located at Quince and White Station behind Three Little Pigs.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. The storms we've had over the past several months have been devastating to our communities. The rainy season is ahead. You may have not even noticed the dripping in your attic, water stains throughout your home, or even worse, mold and mildew. Please call Brian Elder Roofing and we will send out our project managers to assess any damage. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. We will measure your roof from outer space. 0% for 60 months, even no payments till 2022 are available with approved credit. If you've noticed missing shingles, water stains, leaks in your roof, call us before you call your insurance company at 867-0303. That's 867-0303, and we will provide a free, thorough inspection of your roof's condition.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Napa know-how. Get all the quality parts you need at your locally owned Napa. Because right now, when you order from Napa online, you can pick up curbside at your local store in just 30 minutes. Or get your order delivered direct to your door with free one-day shipping on over 160,000 quality parts when you spend $35 or more. Quality parts delivered quickly and safely. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
At participating stores, standard ground shipping and exclusions apply.
The folks at Homer Skelton Hyundai want to say thank you. Thank you, Memphis, for another spectacular year. They set records, but I can understand why. You think about the product. Where else do you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty? That's what you get on every new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. Oh, and thank you again for the 11th straight year, the #1 certified pre-owned car dealership in all of Memphis. It starts with that product, but then it goes to the shopper assurance. Where else do you go where you get transparent pricing, flexible test drive, take the car for a couple of days if you want, streamlined buying process? You're not going to be there all day, in and out. And then, and I have not seen this anywhere else, the 3-day worry-free exchange. You buy a new car, if you've got any buyer's remorse, you've got 3 days to change your mind. Just get on Lamar, take it into Mississippi, the first exit's Craft Road, turn left, and go see Chris True and all the gang at Homer Skelton Hyundai.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Welcome back to Sportstime on Sports 56 with Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sportstime is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Hour number 3 starts for us with Chris Raby from the Cardinals Network at KMOX in St. Louis. We'll talk Major League Baseball and the Cardinals. They haven't played in 2 weeks. We'll find out when they will play again and the seriousness of that situation after I tell you about the title sponsor of this hour, and that's DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road, 662-890-7184. Go online and check them out at DeSotoAutoSales.com. All the happy referrals and all the beautiful cars. Very proud to serve DeSoto County and the surrounding area at DeSoto Auto Sales. All the cars test-driven, checked out from head to toe, bumper to bumper, unlimited inventory, every make, every model. If it's not on the lot, they'll go out and find it for you, especially for you. No shortcuts taken, though. You'll walk into DeSoto Auto Sales and be treated like family by kind, courteous employees, laid-back atmosphere, no high-pressure sales, but they do care about your time and want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience because they know we live in a world today that time matters. Over your lunch hour, you can test drive your car, get the credit approved, paperwork completed, and be gone in about 45 minutes in time to do it over your lunch hour or immediately after work and have time to spare at DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road, DeSotoAutoSales.com, 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience with our friends at DeSoto Auto Sales. Chris Raby joins us now from St. Louis. And what is the mood in St. Louis, Chris Raby? I know my mood has been very, very dour between the college football news and my Cardinal news. Chris, man, give me some hope. How are you, brother?
I'm good, man. Yeah, and I was thinking about the last couple of weeks because when we talked 2 Wednesdays ago, the Cardinals were wrapping up their series in Minnesota, which seems like a lifetime ago. And then last week they were back in St. Louis after having traveled back from Milwaukee and completing a workout
at Busch Stadium. And, it's frustrating, Brett. I think it's, I can't even imagine actually the level of frustration the Cardinals, John Mozeliak, the entire organization must have, because this is a situation that I feel like continues to develop. It continued for probably longer than it should have, moving in the wrong direction. And the Cardinals have felt like, for the most part, and really, I guess, since they discovered what was going on in Milwaukee, they've done everything right. I've tried really hard over the last week, and especially the last couple of days, to try and educate myself, or at least ask the right questions about what is actually happening. What does it mean moving forward for the Cardinals from a health, safety, and, not a medical, because I'm not digging into the medicals, but, from a non-baseball standpoint, from a virus standpoint, and also what originally went wrong. And, in talking to some of the professionals in the field, I've spoken a bunch with one epidemiologist in particular who specializes in sports injuries and sports medicine, and was on my show earlier this week. And I think kind of everyone in the know and in the industry is pointing to how baseball initially handled this, and how baseball cleared the Cardinals to return, and probably cleared them to return prematurely. And after we got through the Marlins, and it looked like the protocol was working that we've talked so much about, perhaps they just kind of flew by the seat of their pants and maybe pushed the envelope a little bit with the Cardinals' return. And, while the Cardinals haven't necessarily had, a new outbreak that's been spreading like wildfire through the clubhouse, there was, and by the letter of this virus, there was still a lingering period where guys were susceptible to testing positive, or guys could have contracted the virus a week earlier, but it hadn't shown up yet. So I think that if anything, this last week in particular, as we were back on the field last Wednesday, and now trying to figure out when they'll get back on the field again, has really proven that, in a case like this, that there's really nothing you can do to beat time. And it's pretty black and white, I think, the way most health professionals see this, in terms of when it is safe to move forward after you have possibly been exposed to the virus, and when it's not. And for whatever reason, baseball pulled the trigger a little too quickly, and the Cardinals now are suffering the penalty.
Chris, I think you just basically, in a nutshell, said the perfect way of describing baseball. Only Major League Baseball can get something wrong, then get something right, and then get the exact same thing wrong again. It's the only sport that can shoot themselves over and over again without ever learning something. But here's my biggest problem with why the Cards haven't played. What is the deal with the taxi squads? Why are we even pretending like they matter if we're not going to use them, and now we're out of time?
Well, there's a difference. The taxi squad was a two-player group that was traveling with the team. And, for instance, Jake Woodford was a part of the taxi squad in Minnesota when the Cardinals put Miles Michaelis on the IL and announced that he was going to have surgery. The rest of the group is in a alternate training site for the Cardinals. It's Springfield, Missouri. That's where, Dylan Carlson is. That's where, Genesis Cabrera and Alex Reyes were. And a lot of those guys aren't on the 40-man roster. And, you can only carry a certain number of guys at a time. So, unless there was some incredible dispensation granted by Major League Baseball, the Cardinals would have had to move, hell and high water to get enough guys on the 40-man roster to field a competitive team. Now, the question becomes, if those guys were added to the roster, well, what are they going to do? All of the coaching staff right now has been in quarantine because the Major League coaching staff and the Major League support staff, clubbies, the traveling secretary, the front office, they were all traveling in Milwaukee. So let's just say in a theoretical world that you could get enough guys, 25 guys or 20 guys from the alternate site, even if they weren't on the 40-man roster, are you going to send them on a commercial flight by themselves to Detroit to go play? Are you going to send them without a manager, without a coaching staff? Are you going to add coaches from Springfield? I mean, it gets really, really messy. And I think that then what happens if one of those guys, if they're flying commercial, is then exposed to the virus? Then you start all over again with 0 players, and then you've exposed your entire organization. So, yeah, I get it, and I get the frustration. But, again, I just think that when you have a number of guys testing positive like this because of the way this started, the only thing you can do is, wait the correct amount of time. The Marlins waited 8 days and they were fine. The Cardinals waited 5 days and they were not fine. So I think that moving forward, the other encouraging thing I've heard, guys, is that if there are isolated positives, especially if teams are taking, mask wearing and glove wearing more seriously, if they are socially distancing, literally not spending any time together away from the time that they're playing in the game, then if you get one positive or two positives, you could immediately isolate, and there's a pretty good chance that the rest of the team wouldn't be infected. But, for the Cardinals and the Marlins and teams over the past couple of weeks before I think we understood the gravity of this, they weren't necessarily doing that. And that's how the virus was able to spread. But it seems like, again, from people in the medical industry that I've talked to, there's a hope that because there will be more positives for baseball moving forward, like I think that's pretty much a fact, there is a hope that you would be able to contain them and you'd be able to continue to play and teams wouldn't have to shut down for a couple of weeks.
Chris, is it a serious option for Major League Baseball to impose in-season contraction on the Cardinals?
I think that would be really tough. And the biggest reason that I think it would be tough is because what would it do to the schedule? What would it do to the competitive balance? As funny as that sounds right now, if the Cardinals only end up playing however many games, I think it would create more of a headache. And I also think that then you get into a tough situation with, guys' salaries and service time. If Major League Baseball enforced that, then are you going to hold the Cardinals accountable to pay out the rest of the season? So I think for a lot of those reasons, and also perhaps for the reason that, as bleak as it might seem, the last couple of days I think have been, just in my opinion, been pretty encouraging. There have been no more positives, and the Cardinals know exactly how and why these last couple of positives trickled through. So, listen, are they going to play 60 games? I don't think so. Is every team in Major League Baseball outside of the Cardinals and the Marlins going to play 50 games? I don't know. But I do think that getting the Cardinals back on the field, if they can do it safely this weekend, would benefit the Cardinals, would benefit Major League Baseball, would benefit the competitive balance of the sport. And then, since there will be more positives, I believe, you're going to need other teams to continue to play. Maybe an idea is to bubble the postseason. I think I've seen reports now after there have been kind of just whispers about that or informal conversations about that baseball is actually considering that now. If you can do that and you can eliminate travel days during the playoffs, then you buy yourself maybe an extra week at the end of the regular season. And then you can make up some games. You can get the Cardinals to 50 games. You can get the, Phillies to 55 games. And I don't know what the number is. I don't know how they're going to figure out the postseason, but I do think that baseball really does want the Cardinals, if it's safe, to continue to play. And maybe that's starting this weekend.
Yeah, Chris, I think, obviously all of Major League Baseball is better when the Cardinals are better. And I'm not going to say these guys' names because I'm just going to get tongue-tied, so I'm just going to call them the Cleveland pitchers. Do you think there should be actual punishment, whether it's more of a suspension than just the quarantine, or an actual monetarily fine for their stupidity?
Yeah, absolutely. And, the thing that probably drives me crazy more than anything about this situation is that immediately, if a player or players test positive, there is an assumption of irresponsibility. And for the Cardinals, a player contracted it from someone that he employs in St. Louis and unknowingly got on a charter flight, was asymptomatic. That's one thing, right? Mm-hmm. And then the other guys did nothing necessarily wrong. They were sitting on a plane or they were hanging out in a hotel or in hotel rooms when they were told they were allowed to because they didn't know there was a positive. That's one thing, but there is an assumption of irresponsibility. What were they doing? Where were they? In this case, it's been very clear over the last week what Major League Baseball is trying to do. Insofar as they're saying when you're in your home city, don't leave your house. You can't go to the mall. You can't go to the grocery store. Don't pump your own gas. When you're on the road, you can't even leave your room unless you're granted special permission. So not only did the two guys in Cleveland go out to a bar in Chicago, but after going to a bar in Chicago, Mike Clevenger then didn't tell anyone, and then knowingly got on a charter flight which is probably the most dangerous or the most susceptible place that teams will be over the next couple of months, and then could have and probably did expose the entire team. Now, I'm sure they were still taking the precautionary measures on the plane, but, there's less than 0% chance that he ever gets on that plane or that he's ever with the team again in the near future. The team knew he was out. So I can't understand that. If I'm a player on that team, I can't understand that. Am I going to blame
and he's been ripped. His teammates have ripped him.
And I don't even know if suspension is the answer. I mean, I think the team should figure it out. But, if I'm a teammate, am I mad if a guy unknowingly is doing stuff right, gets the virus? No, you can't blame them for that. If there's one of our friends, if I got the virus, or if, my brother got the virus, or if your neighbor got the virus, generally we have empathy. We say, were you at Target, or, were you around people, or did you go to your office, or what happened? There is just this empathy and this, understanding.
Yeah, there's an understanding. Mm-hmm.
Right. For baseball, it goes the other way. But then when guys knowingly do something wrong and then knowingly and recklessly expose their teammates to it, that's what could bring the league down.
Yeah, and that is a worst-case scenario. We're visiting with Chris Raby from KMOX in St. Louis, part of the Cardinals network. I know tomorrow the doubleheader against Detroit already canceled. When do you think there will be an announcement on the weekend series set for the south side of Chicago, and then 3 games on the north side, 3 against the White Sox, 3 against the Cubs? When do you think there will be news on that?
Well, you would presume in the next couple of days. And if we look back at the timeline that I was referring to earlier. So the first notice of positive tests was back on late in the evening on the 30th of August. On the 31st, Friday, they began isolation and began testing. And last weekend was when they had the final 3 tests. And, Lane Thomas, who lives with Ryan Helsley here in St. Louis, had been in their apartment and whatnot. So they kind of expected that. So if we go back to, that Friday, the 31st, if we get to this Friday, that would be 2 weeks of consecutive negative tests and isolation, aside from the, 2 days of workouts for everyone else on the team and on the staff. And it would also be a full week or, 6 days of consecutive negative tests for everyone in St. Louis in isolation after they had the final positive test on last Saturday, the 8th. So at that point, we're getting to that 14-day period, and we're getting to that 7-day period that, most people, I think, believe is the appropriate time and the safe time to then move forward. So are they going to play in Chicago on Friday night? I don't know. That would probably require travel tomorrow. I don't necessarily see that happening. They did move their game against the White Sox on Saturday the 15th. That game was, I don't know if there was much pomp and circumstance about this, but that game was officially moved to a 6:10 start from a 1:10 start, I believe, earlier this week. So that says to me that perhaps there's the thought that would give them an even extra day of testing. That would give them, a full calendar week since the last positive last Saturday. And then maybe the hope is that if they get through that, they could travel on Friday or even Saturday morning. They could test again on Saturday. They could get those results Saturday afternoon before the game or Saturday evening. And then if you're good to go and every single person in that traveling party has 2 weeks of negative tests, there are no positives in that group, then you're already in Chicago. So then you could stay at the same hotel. You could play maybe a doubleheader against the White Sox on Sunday. You could try to play against the Cubs, and then you could head back to St. Louis. So again, with this, I guess the lesson is don't make any assumptions, but that would seem to me, and that would seem, again, with the information I've gotten and the questions I've asked people on the health side, the medical side of things, that would seem potentially realistic to me. And I think that's probably a good scenario, because then with certainty that everyone in that group is negative and everyone that you're traveling with is negative.
Chris, any chance of maybe
I feel like this is science time and not necessarily like fun baseball time, but I'm trying my best to stay on top of this and sort all of this out.
Well, we appreciate it, Dr. Raby.
Any chance of that doubleheader on Sunday against the White Sox on the south side, and then to make up a game, play a game in the daytime on the south side and at night on the north side against the Cubbies on Monday?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, perhaps. I mean, and when I said doubleheader, that was just purely a guess on my part. The other, part of this equation is that you've got guys who haven't played a baseball game in 2.5 weeks. So how realistic is it to play a bunch of doubleheaders in a row? Are you gonna? Are you gonna? Well, not even that. Are you gonna have enough pitching? Like Jack Flaherty on Friday won't have pitched for 3 weeks. Like guys won't have pitched for 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks. And while you've been at home this week, so if a guy has a backyard, he can go out and throw. But you've had guys that haven't thrown for a couple of weeks. So what's the safest way for them to return? Batters, guys in the lineup, I think you feel okay about that. But would you have enough pitching, and how much pitching will you have? And I guess that's the question. Like, it's easy to say, just play doubleheader after doubleheader after doubleheader. But, what does that do,
Hard to do
from a safety standpoint for the team?
Yeah, it's a lot easier to say and a lot harder to do. And I must
say, but I guess
say,
there are 7 innings. I guess there are 7 inning doubleheaders, though, so there you go.
But the 7-inning approach has worked. Chris, one on-the-field question. 100%. No doubt. One on-the-field question. Hendricks, first time for him to face Cleveland since that Game 7 of the historic night for the Cubs to end the streak in 2016. The Cubs are the best team in baseball right now, aren't they?
Oh, man. Best team in baseball, and also by all accounts doing everything right. I think there's a confidence within that organization that, they have figured out a way to operate off the field amidst all of this craziness too, which is,
that's leadership.
As important as on the field. And it looks like, again, from my vantage point, that the group that was maybe portrayed as a last hurrah going into this season, or will the band be broken up? They've kind of recaptured what they looked like back in 2013 and 14 and 15 and 16. And, it's nothing against Joe Madden, but all good things need to come to an end. And it was, a time for both parties to go in another direction. They've shaken it up. The lineup looks rejuvenated. I give David Ross a lot of credit for, the buttons he's been pushing with a really, really shaky bullpen. And, it's a good lineup. I thought that, pitching was and will be still the key and the catalyst for any team that's really going to make a run this year. But I think we're seeing the Cubs doing it with a little bit of everything. And, more than anything, they've stayed healthy. Maybe even the 3 games that they missed against the Cardinals last weekend could have been a blessing in disguise. You never want to miss time, but a blessing in disguise in terms of getting a little bit more rest and being able to reset the bullpen and reset the rotation. And yeah, they've been really, really impressive. But hey, I won't hold this against them, but they have allowed 40 more runs this season than the Cardinals. They've allowed 59. And the Cardinals have allowed only 9.
That's right. Chris Raby, you be safe, and we enjoy having you with us, and we'll visit next Wednesday. But you be careful. Stay well.
Yeah, you guys too, and hopefully one way or another next Wednesday we're talking about the Cardinals maybe wrapping up that series at Wrigley.
I hope so. Thank you, Chris Raby.
All right, boys. Anytime. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Chris.
You got it. From KMOX and the Cardinal Network, Chris Raby. If the playoffs started today, Drew Barrett.
Still in it.
I think the Orioles would be the 7 seed in the American League.
I believe so. I think we are still technically in the playoffs right now, so I'll take it.
And look at that winning percentage for the Cubs, 11-3, 786. They're playing right now against Cleveland, scoreless in the bottom of the first in that one. Oakland leading the Angels 5-4, top of the 7th. D-backs all over the Rockies, 13-5, but that's at Coors Field. Don't throw those tickets away yet if you've got the Rockies in the bottom of the 8th. We will get to, I didn't really want to call it this, but we will get to Loserville. We will get to Loserville at 5:30. 67129 at the First Bank text line if you would like to give us an American sports city, professional only, major leagues that would be the ragamuffin team right now, the one that I don't think Chicago was that even with the Cubs' long drought because of the Southsiders. They won it in 2005 and the Bulls and all
the Bears,
all those titles.
the Blackhawks,
the Bears back. That's right. So it clearly, easily not a place that was getting close to it. Was Washington before the Caps. Yeah, Washington NFL team, a lot of success. It had just been a while. And then last year, the Nationals got the World Series. So it's not Washington. It's not Baltimore. Your Ravens have protected against that. And the Oriole long-time streak, even though it's a long time ago now, I think that still keeps them a little bit isolated from that. How many on your master list? Do you have a lot of towns?
I have 4 or 5. Yeah, 5.
I narrowed it down to about 4 or 5 and eliminated a lot of the newer ones like Memphis, like Jacksonville. Just not long enough. We had a texter say maybe the Phoenix area. Diamondbacks won it in 2001.
All right, see, Phoenix was right on the outside for me. They're really, really close, just due to the fact of the Suns and the Coyotes and and the Cardinals. I mean, it just doesn't really feel like a winning town.
Cardinals went to a Super Bowl.
That they didn't
almost won it. Maybe shoulda, coulda. They didn't win it. No, they didn't.
Almost only counts the horseshoes and hand grenades. So.
And slow dancing and parallel parking.
Exactly. Counts in those too.
He counted at Junior High Cotillion. I can guarantee you when we come back, we will go to Loserville. And we want you to help us out at the First Bank text line 67129 or at the First Bank phone line 360-8255. That's next on Sports Time.
WHBQ. Listen to us daily on AM 560, 96.1 FM, or 87.7 FM.
Hi, this is Troy Five-Ash, owner of Five-Ash Roof Services. You've heard me talk about how we offer the best products, the best warranties, and the best services for years. Now let's talk about pricing. Pricing should never be the only reason you hire a contractor, but in today's world, pricing is always a consideration. So we suggest you get 2 or 3 estimates for your roof replacement from a reputable, licensed, and insured company, and then give us a call. If we can't beat your best price for a comparable roof system by more than $100, we'll give you $100. It's that simple. We are so sure we can offer you the best price, beating all other qualified companies. We will hand you $100 if we can't, and thank you for the opportunity. So give us a call. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? Make $100? Five-Ash Roof Services, a proud supporter of Tiger Athletics and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Five-Ash Roof Services, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
If you're going on vacation, making a college campus visit, or if business takes you out of town, there's just no better place to board your dog than Barks and Recreation, 965 Ruddock Cove between Bud Davis Cadillac and the Blue Plate Cafe in East Memphis. Boarding, daycare, grooming, we have the best of everything at Barks. Indoor-outdoor kennels so your family member can go in and out as they please. Indoor and outdoor play areas. 4 walks a day. Group play and individual attention from the best staff in the Mid-South, which includes an overnight staff to ensure the safety and comfort of your pet 24 hours a day. All reasons to choose Barks and Recreation above all other boarding and daycare facilities. BarksDaycare.com or 509-0909. Check us out and make your reservations now at BarksDaycare.com. If your dog could speak, he'd say Barks.
I'm here with the great Pat Donahue from the Rendezvous Restaurant Shipping Department.
Thanks, Brett. We've been shipping our ribs all over the country now for decades from our USDA-inspected shipping kitchen in the Pinch District. We hand-cook our ribs in pits that Mr. Charlie built over charcoal, just like they do at the restaurant.
So what comes in a rib box?
We could do pork shoulder, we could do ribs, our sauce, seasoning, baked beans, coleslaw. We'll even throw in Pancho's cheese dip with our nacho boxes. We also put a bag of Rendezvous seasoned popcorn, heating instructions, some chef hats, some wet naps, and some other helpful tips from our kitchen. We ship our ribs overnight. shipped exclusively FedEx. When we put them in nice packaging, we don't ever want to use styrofoam, so we use corrugated cardboard, actually 2 boxes that fit nice together, so the ribs get to you, your loved ones, or your clients in a safe, wholesome manner. Rendezvous ribs are perfect for out-of-town clients, customers, loved ones. We also ship ribs for any occasion.
Where do we order these great ribs?
You can go to www.hogsfly.com or give us a call at 1-888-464-7359.
Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous Restaurant in the alley since 1948.
Hi, this is Jay Farner, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. We can help guide you to those right decisions now when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so when you call 8338-ROCKET or visit us at rocketmortgage.com to start your refinance, you'll be well on your way to saving money every month. The rate today on our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.375%, APR 3.59%. Right now could be a great time for you to take some positive financial steps forward with a cash-out refinance from Rocket Mortgage, which could give you the boost that you're looking for. In addition, we may be able to help you refinance with little or no out-of-pocket costs. At Rocket Mortgage, we're committed to every client, every time, no exceptions, no excuses, giving you the best mortgage experience. Call us today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Rates subject to change. Pay 1.875% fee to receive this discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Thank you, Carl. Great job, as always. Really appreciate you. I know this is not easy with all the different of me off-site and everything going on. Drew, you like the slow dancing and the parallel parking line, didn't you?
Yeah, I did like that one. I've never heard that one before. That was pretty good.
I stole it, and let me tell you where I first heard it. In the early part of the Braves on TBS years, and the announcing crews were just so good. And on those crews, the Yankees announcer now, John Sterling was a part of it. Dwayne Stats, one of those zany palindromes. It spells his last name in one direction the same as it is in the other direction. And Ernie Johnson was on that crew. But I think the real leader of that crew, Ernie Johnson was probably the senior person, but Skip Carey, son of Harry Carey, he was on the crew, and he was great. I think Skip Carey should be in the announcer wing at Cooperstown, the Ford Frick Award. I think he should be there. He was a great announcer on the Superstation on TBS doing NBA games. And one night, early 80s, I was in Fayetteville when it was like an April spring game, and I wasn't really paying attention to the game. It was kind of just white noise, behind you. Mm-hmm. And I heard him rattle off that line, and I fell off the couch. I said, man, that's the funniest thing ever. And he had as a child, his deal with his dad when Harry Carey was the prominent baseball radio announcer voice really across the country, doing the Cardinal games on KMOX. I mean, he was the first voice. Jack Buck was the second. They even had a year in the late 50s, early 60s, that Milo Hamilton, who was really good, was the third voice. And a couple of different third voices would come and go through the years. Bob Starr was one of the famous ones. But anyway, Harry Carey had for Skip Carey on the air is he was throwing it to like the seventh inning stretch. He would say, you're listening to Cardinal baseball, and he'd give the call letters and back with the bottom of the seventh after this, good night, Skip. And that was Skip Carey's bedtime.
Wow. That is really, really cool right there.
Because he knew he was at home listening to his dad, and wanting to be his dad someday. And I think he was just as good of an announcer. Skip Carey had another good one, and he wouldn't always do it, but occasionally, and he would do it very quickly. Didn't belabor it, and he would say, "As we enter another bottom of a fifth."
Another bottom. I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. That's a good one.
Because he had a good time just like his dad. All right, Atlanta is not Loserville. Maybe it hadn't been the full gold medal. But what with the Falcons in 2 Super Bowls, the Braves, they won it in '95. That's 25 years ago, I know, but always a contending team, a real good team last year. It was a nightmare, not once but twice for the NHL experience, and the NBA has never proven to be a big winner there. But I didn't even have them on a master list. Did you?
No, I didn't have them anywhere close. Just due to the fact of the Braves having the success in the 90s, and the Falcons, they have been to two Super Bowls, and the Hawks, they're good every now and then. They haven't really been able to put in a lot of consistent seasons. But, I mean, we go back to, I want to say only 3-4 years ago.
Exactly.
And they had the best record in the NBA.
Yeah.
With the quote-unquote team basketball.
When they got the best basketball of his life out of Damari Carroll after we couldn't get anything out of him.
Exactly.
In Beale Street Blue. And some speak for themselves. Now, for a long time, Boston thought they were the scorned
city.
But I always thought that was so overdone by them. Are you forgetting about the Celtics and the Bruins?
Exactly.
Yes, the Red Sox did have some horrible luck, and starting with trading Babe Ruth and the curse that came from that, and the Patriots weren't any good for a long time. But even then, the Patriots did go to that Super Bowl, got pounded by the Bears. But I thought the Red Sox fans kind of reveled and wallowed in that way too much. Now, can you imagine being that child, that kid turning, male or female, turning 10 years old, fall of 2003. All right, you had to go through Aaron, Boone, but from then on, all you did was win, win, win.
Oh, I mean, there are people my age out there that really don't remember much before the winning. I mean, even going back to the first one.
How could you?
Yeah,
why would you ever bring it up?
Or even try?
Why would you bring up Mookie Wilson ever again?
Just, I'll tell you why, and it's the downfall of a lot of fans.
That's what we do.
Because you want to prove you have scar tissue. You want to prove that I've been hurt, that my team's hurt me worse than your team has hurt you. It's almost a competition in the other way. You want to show off your scars.
It is one of the most common Twitter threads, common denominator. It drives me crazy that even some in Alabama, they hate us because they ain't us. Look, Alabama, please. I mean, of all the things to do, you hadn't been through anything, and I see it a little bit about the Grizzlies. No, not even close. Sometimes you see it about the Tigers. You really almost can insert any team here, and somebody wants to think, I've had it. I walked to school uphill both ways.
I guess maybe with my blue and gray blinders on, I can see that we've had it tough, and the scar tissue is deep and still pretty fresh.
Think of all the people that would trade with you, though, Drew.
I know there's tons of programs out there that would trade in a heartbeat to be able to say that they've been to 3 Final Fours and 2 national championships.
In the modern time, now I know you go way back to the Big O, and this is supposed to be a mostly professional thing, and I'm going to confuse people with it. I know if you go way back to late 50s, early 60s, Cincinnati Bearcats for the trophy case, yeah, they've got it. But modern times, Cincinnati would trade with the Tigers.
I think they would.
Providence, that team the Tigers beat in the national semifinals in 73. They for sure would trade. Tennessee basketball would.
In a heartbeat.
Vandy would in a heartbeat. Mississippi State would in a heartbeat. Ole Miss sure would in a heartbeat in basketball. And I some of my Razorback fans, they're really beat down right now over football, understandably. But you think back historically, the long march of history, I don't think the case. All right, back to the pros. Give me a town that is not Loserville to you, but you can make a case for.
I want to make a case for Cincinnati. I wanted to. I don't think it is, just due to the fact of the long historical history of the Reds. But it's just been
Right,
so long to me since I've never even really seen a great Reds team in my lifetime that I can think of off the top of my head.
Some good ones, though, not some great ones. They won it in '90. That's a long time ago now.
Yeah.
I know it seems like 10 minutes to me. And you've got veto proof for one for me, or for any for me. But I'm going to veto Cincinnati. No, again, would think of the places that would trade for the aura, that history of the Big Red Machine.
That's some great history, but it also comes back to what have you done for me lately?
History's not doing much for you.
No,
is it?
it's not. I mean, I've heard all the glory.
No more than my slow dancing and Junior Cotillion did anything for you. What'd you get out of it?
Exactly. My dad has told me every story there is about the Baltimore Orioles from the mid 60s to the mid 80s. He has told me every story in the book, and while it's great to have that history, I've seen in my lifetime, my team has won the division twice, and I'm about to turn 26. So what really has all that history done for me?
The other city in Ohio, Cleveland. I say no because if nothing else, LeBron just a few years ago they cut the nets down.
Oh come on! I mean that's one. It's still the Browns.
What would you do for one here? What would you do for one? Well, I know we said we're going to mention college. What would you do for one Grizzlies? One.
You're right.
What if the Grizzlies, and it was the year to do it, it was the thread the needle, may not have that opportunity again ever. And the opportunity was there that first year with Zebo, or the first year of winning a series. It could have gotten past Oklahoma City. I thought the matchup against Dallas and then in the finals against Miami, bring it on. That might have been the year. What would you give for one here? We wouldn't be dismissing one.
We wouldn't, but there's just something
I'm vetoing
about
Cleveland.
about the aura of Cleveland, of just oh gosh, I gotta go to Cleveland. It's just ugh. Like there's just something about
that's too overdone.
That's something about Cleveland that just says loser.
You know and like Brevin Knight a lot, don't you?
Yes, I do. I respect him.
And we all do. Any dealing with him around town, beloved. I mean, just a great part of that great TV team, starting in pre and going to post game, and Brevin and Pete handling the duties in game. We love, we watch, we listen. He loves Cleveland. He said it was one of his favorite places to live and work as an NBA player.
Yeah, and I have to take his word over it. And I guess it's just really is a stereotype. I've never personally been to Cleveland. I'm sure there's people that like it.
Stereotypes are dangerous.
It is, and I mean, there's stereotypes about Memphis that I completely disagree that aren't accurate. So I guess it is a little over the top for me to kind of be on that Cleveland type of train. But one that I definitely think we will both agree on that is one of the top 5 Loservilles. It's Buffalo. Buffalo's got to be Loserville. It's in there.
You're getting very, very warm. Keep Buffalo in mind. All right, Orlando, Charlotte, like Memphis, like Vegas. We're a little new to it, aren't we? I don't think you could throw us in that basket, if you will, of miserables to invoke both presidential candidate Hillary Clinton and John Calipari. I bet they've never been mentioned in the same sentence. What about San Diego?
San Diego, definitely. They are on my list for Loserville, USA. One, the Padres have never really done anything for me in Major League Baseball. And you've
those
had
uniforms.
And
that's not a stereotype. That's real. They're ugly.
They are ugly. And every other team that you've ever had has left you.
That's right. I mean, the NBA jilted them. The NFL jilted them. They've never had NHL.
They had NBA at one time, didn't they?
Had NBA twice. Had the San Diego Rockets that left for Houston, and had the Clippers that left for Los Angeles. Had Hank McDowell played for the San Diego Clippers, teammate with Bill Walton. And boy, those stories are great. They were horrible in that they were horrible in the ABA. Great name and great coach in Wilt Chamberlain, and the name of the team, the Conquistadors. Nice. But San Diego's really, really close. 2 World Series losses. 84 to the Tigers, 98 to the Yankees, but I don't think it's enough totality there.
Okay. Do you want me to give you another one on my list?
Please do.
I will go with Minneapolis. Basically for the Vikings.
We had a texter say it about Minneapolis, and I don't think so because of the Twins in 87 and 91. And maybe because it feels like yesterday to me, I know it feels like it was back in the Peloponnesian War for you talking 87 and 91. But the Twins have also had some good teams since then. Now, basketball, the original Lakers there, they were big winners, but that was Peloponnesian War. That was a long time ago. That was the War of Carthage for sure, way back then. Hockey, North Stars, did they ever win a Stanley Cup? The Wild sure haven't.
The Wild have not. I want to say yes on the North Stars, but I'd have to double check.
I don't know. We need our hockey guy, don't we?
We need the guy that played youth hockey. I mean, come on. I can be the foremost hockey expert of the South, but Minnesota, that's up north. You can't expect me to know that.
We're like the freshman, sophomore survey history class. He comes in for the master's classes. That's what we bring in our Wolo for on the hockey talk. The T-Wolves have been a laugh. The T-Wolves have been less than they've been there longer, and they've been less than the Grizzlies.
Yeah, they have. Never, I think, have made the playoffs twice. Twice in their history.
Yeah, did they get to a Western Conference Finals though with KG? I'm not sure about that because most everybody's been to a conference finals in the NBA. There are very few teams that haven't. And it started with us talking about Miami yesterday. Look, maybe nobody goes, and maybe they're all kind of checked out until it gets to the good stuff. But that much winning with the Heat,
they've won, yeah.
Even the two for the Marlins and the historical figure that 17-0 will always give you. They may be indifferent about it. They may not be passionate about it, but they're not losers.
They're not losers. It just drives me crazy of the brand new nice facilities that they have down in that city, and they sit empty. I mean, even for Miami Hurricanes games, just nobody's there. It's like I know there's so much going on down in South Beach, but you can't take 3 hours out of a Saturday night to go watch the Miami Hurricanes, or Sunday afternoon to go watch the Dolphins, or you can't just go on a random Tuesday to see the Heat. Like, there's just nobody there. And don't even get me started on the Marlins. Nobody's going to those games regardless of what day it is. They probably could give the tickets away and they wouldn't go.
We've had some say Milwaukee, and I'm going to give Milwaukee the pass from the Packer kind of insulation that they get with it. At one time, they would be Packer home games played at County Stadium. I know a long time ago now, but for the Brewers, nothing ever. A World Series appearance and never winning it. And for the Bucks, it quite literally was so long ago. It was Lou Alcindor, the star.
Yeah.
He hadn't been Lou Alcindor since right after that.
No, it's been quite a long time, but it was hard for me to really pull the trigger for that one, just because I kind of considered Green Bay in there, and because Green Bay, I mean, let's face it, is a town; it's not really a city, and Milwaukee shouldn't feel like losers today for sure because of what they have in Giannis, and are definitely a top 3 front runner to win the NBA Finals this year.
All right, so we gotta give it to someone. Who wants to go first?
You go. I'll
go first, and I think it's because of swung and missed. Huge failure with the NBA. I was going to say they never had baseball. They do now. Maybe they could get off the schneid with the baseball this year, but it would be fanless. How appropriate would that be? I know they went to those 4 Super Bowls, but when you last won an AFL title and you've never won it in the 50 years of the Sabres, I think Loserville, and you have to live you have to live there in that weather. I think Loserville is Buffalo.
I completely agree. Buffalo is my number one. Loserville, the only other city that I didn't get to that I had on my list. I had Salt Lake on there. I had Salt Lake with the Jazz. Haven't won. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, not the totality of swinging and missing on a franchise like when the team
Buffalo
had to move.
For sure is Loserville, USA.
It is, and today, re-up for 6 years with Sean McDermott. You're big on Buffalo. They're big on Sean McDermott. He better make it happen. When we come back, we'll make it happen with wrapping up this day. Coming up next, Taco Bell Crunch Time.
R&R on Sports, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m., Sports 56, 87.7, and 96.1. Don't miss us.
Frontier Western Store is open and ready to serve you for all your needs in boots, apparel, pet food, and more. Frontier is proud to be a local leader here in the Mid-South when it comes to boots. Stop by the store today for an incredible selection of name brand work and dress boots. Come browse aisles and aisles of top quality boots at everyday low prices in our world famous boot showroom. Dan Post, Rocky, Durango, Twisted X, Georgia, Ariat, and many more. There are so many styles, colors, and fits available, you might need a hand picking out your favorites. Luckily, Frontier's knowledgeable sales staff will cheerfully assist you with any questions you have and ensure the proper fit of your new boots. Frontier also has an amazing selection of jeans and shirts by Wrangler, Ariat, and Carhartt, as well as a fully stocked women's boutique department with thousands of tops and dresses at unbelievable prices. New arrivals often. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Gilman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Family owned and operated since 1967.
I want to invite you to come by the Spirit Shop. You know, that little log cabin on Poplar, your liquor and wine oasis. The Spirit Shop has been providing sports fans their beverage needs since way back in 1969. So come in now and get ready for the big game. Whether your favorite team wins or loses, the Spirit Shop will help you celebrate or ease that pain away. The Spirit Shop is open every day, and they're located perfectly at 4848 Poplar. That's the corner of Poplar and St. Nick.
Looking for a great place to deposit your money? Try First Bank. Competitive CD rates, a money market that moves with Wall Street prime and interest-bearing checking account options. Not to mention their friendly bankers who make decisions locally. To find out more, stop by one of First Bank's 3 local branches. 6482 Poplar Avenue, just east of International Paper. 8398 Highway 64 across from Wolf Chase. And 6280 Highway 64 in Oakland. Or visit firstbankonline.com. Member FDIC.
At Jason's Deli, you can stuff yourself full of great deli food that's healthy, fresh, and best of all, it's not expensive. Jason's Deli is all about choice. Whether you're looking for a gluten-free menu, vegetarian sandwiches, healthy kids' meals, or if you'd like to invent your sandwich via the build-your-own selections, Jason's Deli has you covered. And they only use fresh, wholesome ingredients. Choose from the club and specialty sandwiches, paninis, wraps, soups, salads, pastas, and much more. I love the cleanliness in the restaurant, the hospitality, and of course the cost. They have a huge salad bar and great soups, including Southwest chicken chili, fire roasted tortilla, organic vegetable, tomato basil, and many, many more. And if you're planning an event, their catering department is fantastic and can handle any size party. Go check out Jason's Deli's 4 locations. On Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, that's my favorite, on Germantown Parkway in Cordova, at Poplar and Highland, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Wolosian and Brad Norsworthy.
Come on, Hamid.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that?
Take questions again for the student athletes at this time, please.
What's happening, big dog? How you doing?
Is this thing working? It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin, this baby is over.
Woo! Woo! Time for Taco Bell Crunch Time. Taco Bell, home of the crispy tortilla chips, topped with a double portion of either seasoned beef or shredded chicken, plus refried beans, nacho cheese sauce, reduced fat sour cream, guacamole, and a 3-cheese blend. Nachos Bel Grande, heaping portion of chips, topped with ground beef, tomatoes, beans, nacho cheese sauce, and a dollop of sour cream. Taco Bell, home to great food you get on your way home real fast, and they bring you crunch time every day. I've learned a lot today. Just learned that the New Orleans Saints announced that the team's home opener, just the opener, will be played without fans, pending on the rest of the year. Also learned this today. Drew, there was a time in college sports we heard all the announcers that just transfer for any reason you want, anytime you want. During the middle of a game, you can transfer wherever you want. Now they don't want any of those Big Ten players or Pac-12 players. They sure don't want them transferring to the mean SEC or anywhere else for that matter, but for sure not to the SEC. What's the difference? What changed?
It doesn't benefit them anymore. That's what changed.
It sure doesn't. What'd you learn?
I learned today that NBA players will have to prove to the NBA that a long-term relationship is there with guests that they invite to join them in the bubble at the first round of playoffs. The NBA and the NBAPA negotiated terms that precluded players from hosting guests who would be deemed as casual in nature, including known by the player only through social media or mutual contacts. Basically means no girls that you aren't actually in a relationship with. Let's keep those out. They also said that business partners will not be allowed as official guests, including chefs, trainers, and tattoo artists. So no side pieces and no tattoos in the bubble.
And the NBA, they've done a great job with their bubble. You see every day with hockey and with the NBA and the test every day. Could have done without this. The rush to maybe too quickly praise or criticize Kevin Warren at the Big Ten. Time will tell. Don't rush out and give any Profiles in Courage awards just yet, and don't castigate him just yet. He may be the rightest guy in all of intercollegiate sports, but he also could be very wrong. Time will tell, and I don't see where there's going to be any gray area. If they play and they play successful, he made a bad decision. If they don't and everybody stands down, then he was first. He was the trailblazer. He was right. What is it you could have done without?
Yeah, there's no 50-50 about it. It's a black and white issue. I could have done without another cancellation of first report that I saw was from Nicole Auerbach that the Big East Conference and its member institutions have announced that fall sports competitions will not be conducted in 2020. But however, that does not seem to affect college basketball due to a report by Brett McMurphy, but that will obviously affect the track and field sports and of course, soccer.
What is it you watch? Keep an eye on tonight and watching closely.
Oh, going to keep a real close eye on Braves, the Yankees. That's probably going to be one of the best matchups tonight.
For sure.
O's in Philly. Going to actually get to watch tomorrow night with it being the ESPN game. More wild action from the NHL playoff bubble. Going to keep kind of an eye on the NBA. And, of course, all the great cancellation news that we for surely will get.
Yeah, and it doesn't sound good for the Cardinals and White Sox for sure on Friday. On the south side, as Chris Raby told us, maybe Saturday, maybe Sunday, maybe not. And that's where we are on a lot of scheduling, a lot of maybe, a lot of to be announced, and a lot of real fluidity in all of our lives. You're right about the 11-win Braves tonight against the 11-win Yankees. Entering today, only 13 winning records in all of baseball. 16 will make the playoffs. We're going to have teams under 500 make the playoffs. You mentioned O's and Phillies. That's the ESPN game tomorrow night. ESPN can't get a better game than that.
Oh, come on. I only get to watch my team like 6 times a year. Let me have it.
I kid. Padres, Dodgers, it's been good so far. That's on late. Love watching Fernando Tatis and the young Padres. First round of the Wyndham tomorrow morning, bright and early. Games in the bubble and mostly meaningless today, but they will be meaningful tomorrow, and more bluster from around college football. But the Big 12, they have filled in some of those non-conference games, some of those dates as early as September 12th. We will see. And we appreciate everybody listening today, our sponsors, our listeners, our texters, our callers, and our guests like TJ Reeves, John Gowen, Rick Harrow, and Chris Raby. Tomorrow we will have with us Bill Bender from the Sporting News, Keith Smith from Yahoo Sports, Tim Doolin on baseball, and Jeff Brightwell from the Tigers Radio Network. For Dave, for Carl, for Drew, I'm Brett. Good night, everyone.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56
with
Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales.